lineup-wise, as much as I like GOW's lineup, I'm just looking at Fluxos and I feel like this just matches the team's personality and game style so perfectly.
There's going to be a lot of emphasis on individual prowess from all the members of Fluxo, because again, none of these active skill abilities go very well with each other to a degree, right? Like, I don't expect people to be spamming all of their active skill cards straight away from the get-go, but I definitely think that momentary uses and also the right opportunities could create these small windows where they can look to punish. I think their biggest problem right now is whether or not the time turner comes out for GOW. If they can force it out early, then they'll have a lot more flexibility. For the pistol rounds, I think it's kind of 50-50, and honestly a little bit more inclined to lean into Fluxo overall, because Ignis, great pick for those opening pistol rounds. Orion as well has a lot of opportunities. It kind of works like a more selfish version of Chrono, where like, instead of building a shield, you're just saying, you know what, I become invulnerable for a couple of seconds, and that's honestly all I need if I'm trying to lay some damage down on anybody who isn't tethered to Cassie.
Yeah, I mean, that also works really well in the pistol round, right? Because Orion is not going to be receiving any kind of support from the team. So you can just run and gun and really not have to worry about yourself, which also benefits your team too, because they think like, oh, it's just Orion, okay, he can stand his own for the first couple seconds, and then we'll give him that follow-up. But ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to fly into game number 1 for match number 1. It is Fluxo versus GOW on Bermuda. This is GOW's best map, but keep in mind, we are also spectating Fluxo, our world champions for 2024. And I think we're all kind of wondering, are they able to wield this trophy again in 2025?
Yeah, I'm curious to see whether or not this is going to be a repeat, right? Because it really feels like it's their year. Things have been going so well for them. Unfortunately, EWC not as well, but overall still pretty good. Right now, instantly the Cryo Mine has been thrown out. They break it straight away, and they're sticking as 4. So even the information given over to GOW, not going to get as much as they would like. As they continue to move forward, already with the nades, they've isolated Bops, they've taken him out, and now it is a 4v3. Very good odds for GOW.
Yep, and unless Bobs gets picked up right now, they're not going to have access to any more flame walls. Demon going to hide around the corner. Looks like Gio, unfortunately, is taking quite a bit of damage himself. He is going to stick around, trying to find the heart. Oh, but he loses the matchup against Demon instead. And GOW looking fantastic for this first round out of 11. They're going to pick up MT7, and GOW already off to a great start.
A very nice start indeed for GOW. That first initial pick with the grenades, really smart that they all decided to go with the sawed-off, knowing the environment of the map. Again, map knowledge is really, really important. You don't know what's going to be the next one after that following round, but now that we come into this one, it's going to be interesting, right? Because again, both teams have completely ignored the cyber drops for the most part, and even during when we saw their scrimmages in rehearsals, they opted, you know what, we don't need this anyways. I don't know whether or not it's a viable strat for them, or it's something that they're not going to take seriously at all. But I think that at the very least for GOW, if they're not going to contest, no point putting yourself in that type of situation or danger.
No, it makes sense. I've seen teams just get trapped thinking that they're going to be able to get the cyber airdrop, and then their team just crumbles. So it's a pros and cons. You have to weigh your odds, right? For now, Fluxo going to stay grouped as a team. Very interesting decision, actually. The team is so clumped up together, whereas for GOW, they are trying to find a bit of a flank. Rip, unfortunately, taking some damage there, so that's going to halt his expedition. But you can see to the side, though, Demon looking to go for a wraparound. Gio is just around the corner, but Butzen's there to provide support, and Bobs is also there to provide any kind of help. But they do need to be very wary of Hans and Demon, because Demon, this man's got a lot of support behind him. He wants to run in and he wants to dish out some damage.
He really does. And it's interesting because in terms of like the loadouts, right, you can see that both sides are taking a more passive approach because they're very aware, hey, they got micro Uzis, they got 2 big rifles on the side of Fluxo. They decided to buy up even though they don't have much armor. But GOW, that's the payoff right now. Deanne, he's the only one without armor right now, but he has the rifle. Now that he's already using that cryo mine, puts it on top of the roof to get max value. I think it's okay, but not as much as they would like. In comparison to Fluxo, who's taking their time, but the zone is forcing him in. Unless they give some kind of support on that top side, MT7 might be in some trouble as they get pushed off the roof in high ground, dominated by Fluxo.
Yeah, so that was a very ballsy push coming out from MT7 because he was originally on the other side, but pushing forward, forcing GOW back. And I have to say, this is one of our slower circles because we are finally going to be going for a bit of a rotation. You can see Fluxo trying to find that opening there. The summon going to be taken out from Nero. And we get a double drop. Hans and Rip going to be taken out by Butson. And the entire team in just a fraction of a second. In one moment, Fluxo clean up GOW.
Beautifully played, really beautifully played by Fluxo. This is what we call the war of attrition. Every moment, they're not taking super aggressive angles, but they are slowly letting GOW take the space and then forcing them into corners where they have to use their utility, their active skill cards, as much as they can. And when they know all of them are out of the way, then Fluxo can run in and take on the honest fights that they were known for, and more importantly, know that they have a very big advantage over GOW.
Yep. All right. Round 3, folks. We're currently tied 1 apiece, so both teams definitely in the running to be able to take match number 1. But Fluxo, I have to say, very interesting to see how patient Fluxo is playing this first best of 3. Like, normally we're so used to seeing them just bum rush into their enemy, but they are extremely calculative in their movement so far. And I think it's actually shocking GOW. They're expecting Fluxo to just run at them. And because that's not happening, it almost feels like GOW, they don't know how to react to this very, very slow, very methodical playstyle coming from our 2024 world champions. So here we go, the moment has come. Woodson going to be coming in with the melee scythe. Does get a couple of hits in, does not get the auto knock, but Demon going to be taken out by Bops.
First blood.
They've already found one. The cyber airdrop was contested. Fluxo still gets it at the very end. They've knocked down RIP, and again, they are dominating every side of the map. One coming around the flank as GU buys a little bit of time within the Cyclone, but Butson finds it at the very end, taking out Hans and Deanne alongside with him. Really great stuff coming in from Fluxo, right? Again, this is hyper patient, right? Even GOW are like probing for a response, and Fluxo just does not move, right? They're playing dead possum, and they feel like they can do whatever they want. Goes for the cyber drop, instantly punished by Fluxo as soon as they take the space. So again, I think that GOW, there's a lot more elements that they have to think about dealing with Fluxo, with how flexible they are right now, because their fundamentals have been looking so shaky in comparison to Fluxo.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, round number 4. Fluxo currently leading with a score of 2-1 versus GOW. And so far, Fluxo looking really scary here. It's going to come down to GOW. Can they adapt to this very, very precise playstyle coming out from Fluxo? And so far, Demon's going to be going in for a bit of a skirmish there. GU going to be moving it forward for the team as well. Bob's getting caught out by Demon. That's a big pick-off there. And maybe this is the moment of time where we see GOW make a comeback happen. GU has been caught by Rip, leaving MT7 and Butson all on their own. Tian, unfortunately, going to be taken up by Butson. So numbers on the side of GOW, they are also being culled. A bit of a shot for MT7, but not a critical one. They do manage to get another one onto Rip. And look at this. They might be able to equalize this match. Rip is down. It's a 2 versus 2.
It's a dangerous 2 versus 2. Who knows what could happen, especially with a P90 in hand. Even so, Demon, he still has the time turner if necessary. Luckily, from the opposite side, at least for MT7 or even Woodson. Oh wait, no, they don't have their active skill cards. They actually used it pretty early on. Woodson especially, right? He looked for the angle, wanted to go for a little bit more, didn't find his own reset. So now they're just going to bide their time. They're waiting for the Iris active skill card to come back online, and they want to make sure, hey, we're going to drop down our glue walls here. If they fall into our glue walls, we can still utilize Iris. And I think that even GOW is a little bit more aware about it as, on top of it too. Electrotherapy ready to go at any moment. Time turner as well if things get really, really dicey. At this point, it's just a battle of information.
It's a battle of information, a battle of patience as well. And looks like Fluxo looking to push into with 2 of their players. Woodson, this man has done so much work in these first couple rounds, looking to push forward, looking for that angle. Can't quite get that insta-pop. Going to continue with the shot so far, but GOW, so difficult to take down. And actually, Hans going to be caught by MT7 in the back, leaving Demon all on his own as that chrono. And with no time turner to speak of, he's going to have to use that natural cover to try and get these picks. And look at this Demon, he's really trying to reposition. If he just gets that lucky 1-2 tap, he might be able to turn things around, but no! Fluxo, just too much for them to deal with, and that's going to push the scoreline 3-1 in favor of Fluxo.
That's got to be a little frustrating for Hans, especially because he's still following these are good habits that he's doing as a support player, right? Not only do you want to make sure that your frontliner stays alive, but you want to provide fire from an awkward angle so that they don't continue pushing into the same place, right? Because if you lose your entry fragger and then you have to support him and then you become the next to deal with a 2v1 as the casty, you're going to get knocked down. And despite everything that has happened, I think that Fluxo are playing it really, really well, utilizing the cyber airdrop as a means to kind of bait their opponents into exchanges that honestly they shouldn't be peeking in the first place.
Yep. Okay, GOW, they are looking to get another point on that board. The team is pushing pretty far forward together as a team, so they are playing exactly how their composition was supposed to be built. They don't quite get the finish there onto Gio. They will finally drop him though, and Gio's an awkward spot, but Demon caught by a grenade thanks to Bops buying time for the team, and Demon, I don't think it's going to be picked up at all, as Hans next one to follow thanks to MT7 sniping in the back, and rip, everyone is gone. Fluxo pushing the scoreline 4-1 against GOW.
Man, Fluxo are just so sharp. I mean, look at these lineups. They have made lineups for cyber drop contestants on specific maps. I love the fact that they are willing to go out of their way to buy, with the extra economy, a time turner of their own. And luckily, they're slightly different colors, so we can tell whose are whose. But so far, Fluxo have been bonus rounding after bonus round after bonus round, right? VSK still in hand, upgraded scars on top of it. We haven't seen the big boy weapons come out from Fluxo. And right now, for GOW, this might be one of their few, if not last chances, to try and disrupt the economy.
I mean, they only have 2 lives now. You lose 2 games, and that's going to be it. Fluxo should be able to take the round. So if there's a time to be able to break this curse, as what I'm going to call it right now, this is the best time to do it. But the thing is, how does GOW break through this initial push from Fluxo? Because Fluxo's done so well in these pushes. We haven't really seen them make too many mistakes when they do try and eventually break out into that full-on team fight. They're so good at juking, they're so good at cover, so that they're always covered by at least their back, their sides. They're not really caught off guard. And big hit there onto Dian.
That's so smart. Yes, extremely smart from Fluxo's side here. And I mean, they knew the quota was being used, so they had one person actually go for the crouch on the west flank, making sure that, hey, we're going to get somebody peeking from our side. Just everybody stand up, make sure you're not behind, you're not crouching down, look down my line of sight and keep me covered. And they find that first initial shot. Unfortunately, it wasn't a headshot, but even so, it's good enough damage. The idea is there, and Dian gets bodied once more, forcing the glue wall out of him. His mid control is slowly slipping away as GOW are forced to rotate out of position, and now the Ignis is going to get full value. 3 glue walls done, and so Ryan pops quickly to buy a little bit more time. Again, selfish as always, but more importantly, he's held back GOW as Hans finds one, puts and trains another. GU comes in with a Trogon, and with the help of MT7 finds the headshot for a clean 4-0.
That entire round collapsed because as soon as you saw Woodson, they thought they were going to be able to take him down, but they dropped Woodson, but they also lost Demon right off the bat. He didn't even get the chance to use his time turner. So yes, Woodson is an issue in this round, but doesn't really matter if you take out Woodson, you still have to deal with MT7, Bops, and GU. So as it goes to show, right, GW, they think it's a one-man issue, but ultimately, I think as spectators, we are seeing that Fluxo as a team overall are problematic to deal with. There is no one player you can remove on the team that instantly solves all of GOW's problems. And now, being that this is round 7 and match point for Fluxo, if they lose this round, we are going to be awarding this first match to Fluxo. So lots of pressure on GOW to find that opening.
We'll see how dominating they're going to be, right? Time Turner has already been thrown out from Fluxo's side. That's one active skill card that they're not going to get back. Unfortunately, not at the most important timing as well. They did buy up at the very least, some of them coming in, at least for MT7, has an AWM in hand on top of his VSK. Honestly, I think it's fine at this point, considering that they bonus for so many rounds, and now we've already secured 2 cyber airdrops. It's anybody's game. But right at the beginning of the round, both sides, honestly, utilizing their economy well, getting UAV for early access to information, and unfortunately for Butson, he finally gets punished here. Luckily, with sawed-off and a P90 in hand, they're able to gun him down in a crossfire that he was not able to ouch movement. Now, he does see Butz and Gui now attacking RIP halfway across the map, and GOW need to respond by cutting through the center. They might get caught off in the middle here, because Trogon in hand for GU, yes, he's bought plenty of time, as he now has to deal with 3 of the members who are slowly going to push him in. With no line of sight, he goes down. Bops, unfortunately, lands a shot, but he's already getting pressured by Dion on the opposite side. MT7 looks for the trade, finds one, as Hans and Demon start working side by side. Hans goes down, and Demon now cleans up the job. GOW pulls it back here in round 7.
They pull it back, and it was because of Diana being able to fend off against Butson's flank. I think that was probably one of the major plays here for the team, because all of a sudden Butson is gone. You're leaving Fluxo with only 3 players remaining, and GW, they will have their full roster moving forward. So we can tell for sure, just looking at the scoreline. I want you all our spectators, look at Butson's score, 10-6. This man has been putting so much work in getting all of those eliminations for Fluxo. So losing Butson at all very early in a round is going to be a huge detriment to Fluxo. Not to say that MT7, Bobs, and Geo, they're not able to sort of carry through, but you can tell that Butson, he has been the star MVP for the team so far. So they need to also, if they can, protect Butson so that he's able to do what he's supposed to do. I did not agree with his plank in that last round, and I'm glad he's sticking with the team now.
I couldn't do the math fast enough. I'm not sure if they have a team booster in hand, but Demon already goes down. And I mean, Fluxo, they're coming in under-equipped, right? They're coming in with the cheaper weapons that are upgraded, and it looks like they've already found one in Demon. Looking for his second, but GU cuts them down, no problem whatsoever. The Trogon, you would have imagined that him buying up was being a selfish decision. Nah, he's just the game winner.
And that's going to be match number 1 going to Fluxo, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to put them one step closer towards heading to that upper bracket round. And for GOW fans, this is a bit of a heartbreaking moment, because all of a sudden this team is now pinned in the corner. For them to win this set, they will need to reverse sweep with 2 map wins back to back. And unfortunately, none of those maps are going to be Bermuda, because Fluxo, they've just taken that first Bermuda map. So GOW, if they have any ace up their sleeve, if they have any strats, they're gonna have to bring it into game number 2 to force that game 3, because with how Fluxo looked in this first match, I would not be surprised if we do end up with a 2-0 scoreline overall today.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dominating performance coming in from Bermuda at the very least, but I think, more exciting yet was the usage of their economy, right? I mean, they bonus round after bonus round, but it also feels like they were walking in with major advantages, despite sometimes some big weapons are being bought by GOW. For 2 straight rounds, big purchases came through, great usage of the UAV overall, and I mean, I think it forced a lot of mind games against GOW, because they got such a different version of Fluxo between the rounds.
Yeah, you know what? I have to agree. I thought Fluxo was going to play one particular style, but they did so well in just playing so many different styles. I actually think GOW, they probably realized, like, wait, are we playing against the same team? They keep doing different things every single round, and we just can't put our finger on them. But game MVP goes to Butson. Gideon, this man, I swear, he popped off in that first match. He got so many crucial eliminations. I kind of feel like Butson is the reason why Fluxo just cleaned house in this first match.
Yeah, which is, again, a very different from what we saw during their scrimmage rehearsals, right? Again, Butson was supposed to be, I was expecting him to be that support player, but now that he has his hands on the Tatsuya, and considering his build as well, that he's willing to bring in Dreki, he's willing to have a tactical market, he's more than self-sufficient. And it feels crazy to me, because when you start looking at the amount of assists that MT7 was getting on top of what Butson was putting out in terms of eliminations, their 2-on-2s were ridiculous.
Yeah, it was it was insane, honestly, to see Floxo play so well in that first game. And it makes me feel really scared for GOW because I don't know what I would even consider to be a solution for GOW playing against Floxo in that second map, because it's not a case of just remove this active and all of a sudden this team is more manageable. It's not a case of just winning the first 3 rounds, because Floxo is not going to give you the time of day to have first 3 rounds to snowball for free. So if GOW have a coach, if they have anybody that is working with the team right now, you got to have a big pep talk. You got to talk about changes going into that next round. It's not just a draft. They will, I think, strategically need to out-strategize Floxo. And I don't know if this team can do this.
Out-strategize is one thing, but I feel like the biggest problem that we're seeing, if we have to take fundamentals of the game out of the question, is just map knowledge, right? It really feels that, like, on certain areas where GOW is like, oh yes, we know exactly what we're doing here, we're going to buy some sawed-offs on our side, we're going to play on the main building, we hold our corners, we win games, right? In comparison to Fluxo, which feels like they have a better understanding of more types in different rounds of the areas that they can actually utilize to their advantage, which is, again, interesting to see, because with a composition that isn't what we're used to seeing within Southeast Asia, the level of flexibility and independence that each of the members could do individually is quite nuts, without the addition of knowing what angles are actually safe in maps that are ever changing.
Yeah. And speaking of maps, we are going to Nextera for our second game of this best of 3 series. And I don't have the stats here for GOW, but if I do recall personally, they are not a big fan of Nextera. It's not to say they do terribly, but it's not a map where we can say they consistently perform well for Battle Royale. So I don't think it's going to translate very well to CS if they're unable to consistently perform on a particular map. I hope they practice something for this map in particular, because if they don't have anything in the tank, if they don't have any secret strats, if they don't have anything to surprise Fluxo here and now, this is probably going to end up being a 2-0 round. I really want to be positive here for GOW, but we also have to be fair. It's Fluxo that they're playing up against, a team that has so much potential to just take the whole thing.
I mean, they don't call this the Free Fire World Series Global Finals for nothing, right? It's the creme de la creme, the best of the best coming in from each of these regions. And unfortunately for GOW, squeezing yourself into Clash Squad like this really goes to show how strong some of these members are, which, again, these skills do translate over into Battle Royale. Now, from Vietnam's POV, I mean, after that dominant game number 1, I'm surprised that he still thinks that Vietnam is the number 1 region right now. Thailand is second and Brazil is third, and they want to beat all the strong teams, including Fluxo. And that's a personal prerogative from RIP.
Yeah, I mean, they got what they asked for. You know, they definitely ended up getting that match against Fluxo. I'm just thinking, right, with this mindset for GOW, they wanted to play Fluxo, and they also do think that Vietnam is a top region. What can you do in match number 2 to just outplay Fluxo? I mean, that's a silly question if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, but that's really the problem that they're facing at the moment. How do you beat Fluxo? Because for game number 2, Fluxo is going to get access to first pick, meaning that unfortunately for GOW, second and third, like getting second and third pick is actually not a bad thing. You get to pick up a pair of characters, whatever the first one may end up being, but you don't get to have that first pick. And sometimes if you're trying to play some kind of cheese strat, if you want to get access to a very OP, overpowered character, first pick is where it's at. So I hope GOW has something lined up for these next 2 picks. I'm going to be honest, I hope it's not Cassie Chrono. I kind of feel GOW need to step away from Cassie. This is not an insult to the team, but I just, looking at the way that they ended up playing with Cassie Chrono, I kind of feel like this is just not a combo that's going to work well against Fluxo. I feel like this team is so well practiced playing against Chrono and Cassie that this is probably not something they want to face, and actually they banned the Cassie, so okay, Okay, so hang on. Zane is probably going to go through. Surely we get an Oscar ban here for GOW. Sure.
Yeah, I would imagine. Oh!
What in the...
Ooh.
Hello? Did they not see Fluxo ban Cassie?
Blank. The show's back again.
To be expected, Oscar is going to be an insta-lock coming in from Fluxo, right? I've talked about it a lot right at the beginning of the show. No need to expedite how devastating Oscar is going to be. But let's see how GOW is going to respond. Because there are a number of ways to try and protect yourself. The only issue is that now Cassie alongside with Zane, with both of them banned, leaving not a lot of supports that actually kind of do what these two supports bring to the table. There's no instant value unless they play around something like a Chrono on top of maybe a Dimitri. Then at least then your windows are a little bit shorter, but they hit that much harder. I mean, the Chrono, as is expected, the Coda for information, I think that's totally fine, but I'm not sure how they're going to round out their composition now.
Yeah, I mean, okay, to be fair, I'm not against Chrono Coda as that second and third pick. I do think it's a very strong duo. I think the good thing is that they're leaving their options open right now. They have a lot of flexibility for their last two picks because Chrono, he can function in several ways to benefit the team. He can play more of that supporty style, or he can go for more of that rusher style. But the response from Fluxo, I am curious to see if Steffi does end up being the pick, because we've seen Steffi cause quite a lot of surprises in the Southeast Asia Clash Squad scene. And yeah, Steffi is here to play. All of a sudden, those throwables are not looking so attractive anymore. And the Santino that was still in the pool. GOW, what are you giving Fluxo?
I mean, that's totally fine from GOW's perspective. They knew what they wanted. They were willing to start give at least one more power pick over to the side of Fluxo because it's inevitable. But the Steffi, I feel, is a very interesting call, right? Because for all intents and purposes, Fluxo could have waited until the very end to show off the Steffi. But I think more importantly, they now have that advantage with the Oscar. They're expecting the A1 to eventually come out. So with the Steffi at hand, they might be able to kind of protect themselves from these projectiles, these throwables, including the A1, which is also a considered throwable. Now, Iris, the final lock-in for the side of GOW Esports. I'm not gonna lie, MT7 was doing a lot of work with the Iris holding that high ground here, and when crucial moments started to come through where the glue walls are supposed to protect you, that's when MT7 on Iris decided that it's not gonna happen. Now, GOW is gonna have access to it, and Clue as the final pick for Fluxo. I don't know about you, Danelli, but I'm thinking this is an interesting shape of draft that GOW ended up with, but Fluxo, considering that their game number one was so flexible, so adaptive, now they have, again, yes, a composition that I think each individual player can have their selfish moment. Maybe not for Steffi, but for Oscar and Santino, absolutely.
I'm scared to see Blitzen on that Oscar. We saw Blitzen on Tatsuya last round, and look at what he was able to pull off with the Tatsuya. Now you're putting him on an Oscar, which is basically a juiced up Tatsuya. Oh man, I really, if I could, I would love to interview GOW right now before the game starts and say, okay, gentlemen, please explain to me what made you think Oscar being given away to Fluxo, like what were you going to get in exchange for this? Because I feel like this is almost a trade that nobody wins. If Oscar gets, if anyone picks Oscar, that's an insta win for whoever gets the Oscar. And in exchange, it was Coda and Chrono, which I think we can both agree, Gideon. Chrono, very, very solid character. I think a lot of teams do prioritize the Chrono. Coda's pretty solid as well, but I think even combined, I would still prioritize an Oscar as one of my picks if possible. I mean, okay, if they let the Zane through and they banned the Oscar themselves, would much have changed?
If they let the Zane through, banned out the Oscar, I would say that I think things would change just a little bit more, right? Because again, Zane and Cassie are such powerful enablers for a lot of these compositions. Like Oscar, I think there is an argument that GOW is trying to make, saying, if we just A124 the Oscar, what is he gonna do? Break through our glue walls? Nah, he's gonna be dead in the waters, right? And without Cassie and Zane to kind of back him up and give him that extra bit of durability, then Oscar just becomes an all-in character. He's just going to be the linchpin before the bullet actually flies out of the barrel. So now they can start working on the other members because Oscar is always going to be that lead. I think that GOW wants to have some kind of idea of, oh, we don't want our heads to be messed around with. We want Fluxo to be as honest as possible, and I think this is as good as it gets.
Yep. It's just that it's Woodson on that Oscar. Oh my gosh. I know who I am going to be keeping my eye on in this matchup because I feel this man is going to dictate the tempo of these games. He's going to be the deciding factor on who takes what rounds. But we do have a handshake. Oh, that's actually a fist bump from our coaches. So that's an indicator to us, ladies and gentlemen, that we are ready to jump into game number 2. We are going to be flying into Nextera. And with Fluxo currently leading with a 1-match win over GOW, all of a sudden the pressure is now on the Wolves to win this map and also the next one if they want to be able to swipe this series away from the 2024 Battle Royale champions known as Fluxo. It's going to be a really exciting matchup. I have a lot of expectations for GOW. Show us why you say Vietnam is the best region in Free Fire.
Burn those doubts. They got to start burning those doubts right now and prove to everybody out there that they got what it takes. It's going to be a hard climb, though, and I'm so curious to see how Fluxo, one of the best Clash Squad teams out there, is going to utilize these combination of active skill cards, right? Because, again, as much as I've talked about Oscar, that Steffi could cause a couple of problems, and I think for GOW, there are certain situations where it's actually unfavorable to hold ground. They actually have to sacrifice that ground as much as they possibly can to ensure that Steffi doesn't get full value from her active skill card to enable Oscar to run on in. Because Steffi technically works as that pseudo support. But now it is time. Let's get into it. Our second game in our first series of the day. Fluxo facing off against GOW here in Nextera.
Yeah, it's pistol round time, so we'll have to see who is going to be favored in this very luck-based matchup. I kind of feel like with the pistol rounds, and oh my gosh, already a couple of shots connecting onto Hans. Fluxo already on point with their shots. MT7 does take a little bit of damage there, but we can see Bobs looking to go for the flank there onto Demon, but Bobs is the one to take damage instead. Demon though, we do have the mannequin being deployed, so we do have that escape path. We'll see if they decide to come back. The mannequin though will be destroyed by Demon, so no more Santino shenanigans for the next couple seconds. So what's the plan here? Fluxo, just looking at their position, they are actually playing very, very reactively now.
Absolutely. I think I think it's really important that they do. And the initial reposition, the initial flank coming out from the Santino makes a lot of sense, right? That's what all Santinos are looking for. But look at the way that Fluxo move as a unit, right? As soon as that swap comes through, instantly you see the members who know that, hey, he's covered all this space. They haven't taken back that space. Let's quickly rotate to that side and see whether we find these opportunities. They didn't find it, so they reposition back. And GOW, they're trying to hold strong. Now finding within inside the compound. Woodson, he still has a valiant dash here. Unfortunately, Clue, it's going to take a little bit longer before it actually comes back up. The USP in hand, tries to get as many shots down as he can. Swinging with all three of their members. Demon is going to be the first one to actually take those hits as RIP tries to cover him. Bobs ends up going down, finds the trade. Can they get Demon back up within the pistol round itself? They still have the time turner active, ready to go. Iris as well. Problem is that there's no glue walls right now, and they're playing against natural cover. Now, at least when the Cyclone is dropping down in time, Time Turner finally out, tries to go for the swipe on this side, doesn't land enough shots, but loses at least 80 HP off of it. Spins around for the 180 to go against RIP as the next one already falls from the side of Fluxo. GU, the only one left, and it's too late, even with his active available, just not enough under the fire.
That bait by Demon was beautiful. Hiding around the corner, forcing Bobs to be the one to jump on out and try and go for that finishing blow, but Bobs being the one to be taken out first. That was beautiful. That's the kind of play I'm expecting from GOW to get this match on their side of the corner and to force that game number 3. But keep in mind, folks, that was pistol round, okay? Pistol round is generally very inconsistent. Now that we do have a little bit of money on both of these teams, we are going to be seeing more potential of these lineups. And, I mean, this doesn't mean Fluxo is out of the running at all. They still have a very scary lineup. But now they are slightly better equipped than that first round. Hans, though, looking to go for a flank himself, just going to use a little bit of that, a little bit of the cover for now to try and sneak his way through. But Woodson has spotted him out. Time Turner going to be deployed, so that shield will protect Hans for a little bit longer. Instead, going to retreat back into that tower. On the other side of the map, we did see Demon taking critical amounts of damage on the A124. Is trying to heal back up, but unfortunately, quite dangerous of a position to do so. But Bobs, he's been caught by Rip.
Unable to cover every single angle across the map, but that's how messy Nextera can be. It's important to have information on your hands, and they still have Clue's active skill card ready to go for MT7, but right now, they already know the positions, and more so, they can't seem to find an advantage just yet, Diane. He tries, MT7 manages to pull back just in time. Hans holding the smoke, trying to make sure that they cannot take any more space from them. The play area is eventually going to get shortened in, forcing them up towards that high ground. RIP on the southern side flank. North side taken care of by Fluxo. And GU, luckily, at least with his Deagle, is putting in some decent work here. They should be able to start securing himself cyber airdrops in just a little bit, but for now, they want to make sure Gio taking 80% of his HP. Woodson, he's ready to try and bait with Micro Uzi. He finds one in Demon. Deanne is aware, but with the Deagle and rifle in hand, not sure. Oh, tries with the scythe. A little too far. Woodson puts him down low. 10% still left. Knows that the Fluxo member has got his angles. Nicely played by Fluxo. Mid control at the end.
That looked a little dicey there for Fluxo, but they do manage to get across that finish line safe and sound after some very, very great footwork coming out from the team. I loved how they slowly pushed GOW to the other side of the platform. Originally, GOW did have that central tower to themselves, but with the slow push that came in, it really... because they lost map control of that central tower, it made it very difficult for the team to start moving in as that circle got smaller and smaller. So great job there from Fluxo and GOW. They need to keep their heads on their shoulders. Don't get too excited just because you took the pistol round off of Fluxo. And we do have a bit of a 1v1 there. Diane looking to go for a challenge onto MT7. The rest of the team, though, are going to have to deal with their own guests as Fluxo moving right into GOW and the Rip. First player to go down. Hans, next one to follow as well. We actually had a scythe drop by Woodson going in all melee. Woodson does go down, unfortunately, but Rip has been caught too. Demon is on the ground, leaving Diane all on his own to try and carry his team on his shoulders, but there's only so much you can do as a solo Iris. Fluxo take round number 3, pushing the score 2-1.
Really nice play here coming in. The Valiant Dash instantly finding at least one in RP, as well as Hans with the rest of his team backing up. I mean, they all knew exactly what they wanted to do. MT7 already made collision with the other opposing flanker. He just had to buy a little bit of time to make sure that his line of sight is always fixed upon that flanker to make sure he can't get any more angles or at least hurt the front line of Fluxo as they look to engage on the cyber airdrop. Even so, after all of that, Fluxo was coming out of this with one cyber airdrop in the bag, and I don't know how many times we're going to see this side actually find a kill, but Woodson, he's making it happen super often so far, considering the number of Cyclones being deployed.
Yeah, look, we knew Woodson was going to be a monster just based off of his Game 1 performance. So to see him do this well on the Oscar, it's no surprise. Rip, though, managing to get a surprise elimination there onto Bop. So all of a sudden, Fluxo at a one-man deficit against a four-man full roster of God of Wolf. So Fluxo, I do expect this team to sort of slow things down a little bit after losing their Santino because they've lost their main flanker. And this does push Woodson to really play into that hard frontline role for the team alongside Gio, because if they don't do that, the team is going to play split, and that's very easy if you get picked off. But look at that Demon running up onto the hill, getting caught by Woodson. What kind of play was that, GOW? They ran up the hill, they thought it was going to be fine, but oh man, Fluxo raining them down with bullets and making this team regret everything.
Oh, it wasn't a bad idea from GOW, right? They just needed their opponents to drop down more glue walls, but they're just hyper aware of when the Iris actually pops, right? And you can see that as soon as they didn't care about it, Woodson's like, we don't need these glue walls. He's already popped the Iris. We just need to start pushing through and get that time turner out of them. Once the time turner is out, we can win. We've got the flank angles down and we're a man up. We can do what we want. And these are the conditions that Fluxo is finding consistently against GOW, right? GOW FFW, on the other hand, they've got good ideas, but I don't think they have as many protocols as Fluxo right now, even with a man down.
Yeah, oh man, GW, they do need to try to sharpen themselves up a little bit. Now the thing is, Crab Labs, this is not a map anyone enjoys, especially with the fact that there's a lot of verticalities and the gravity itself doesn't really help. Woodson's though in a bit of a skirmish there with Hans, but looks like Dian, he has been caught on the other side, and now Bob's raining down onto Demon, who's trying to play on the side, ends up jumping onto the low ground, but GW, it looks like they're just being absolutely dismantled.
Oh, Hans is trying to buy as much time as physically, humanly possible, but he doesn't have the support of everybody else. The other members of GOW's too busy trying to deal with the Santino flanker on the back that they were looking for with the A124. And MT7 continues to chase down Rip until the ends of the earth. They keep colliding with each other, and half of these rounds in first blood picks from GOW is whether or not RIP is able to find that initial flank, or at least counter the attack from the opposing side of Fluxo. MT7 in particular.
I'm really worried here, Gideon, because again, Fluxo is starting to run away with the match entirely. 4-1. That's already a huge gap between the two teams, and all Fluxo need are 2 more wins, which, just based off of how they've been playing, that is a very, very possible reality for this team to secure within the next 2 rounds. GOW, they have so many games that they need to catch up and win that I'm a little bit worried that they're going to be losing out to that fatigue, because Fluxo's still just looking so sharp round after round after round, especially with their decision making and with what resources that they've basically given themselves. Again, Woodson in such an aggressive position, but then again, remember, he's playing on the Oscar. He has a lot of leeway. Looks like Rip though running into a 1v1 there with Bob. Rip, he really needed to get the elim, but it's just so annoying dealing with the Santino. Just being able to go for the swaps is making it so difficult for him to get those final blows.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of the resources, right, Fluxo, they don't actually mind dropping this particular round, because overall they've been bonusing and finding those cyber airdrops consistently in those past 2, putting them at such a high economic value in comparison to GOW per round capita, right? And GOW, with their investments here, they know that things are starting to get desperate. M5's in hand, they need to close the distance, and they've already got a bit of a split of their own. However, if they're going to close the distance, they need to make some sacrifices, one which, I don't know if they bought enough smokes to make that happen. RIP, he needs to win this out and finally gets popped, and now it's going to be a full collision between the frontliners as Demon tries his best. 2-time turners dropped, and even the Steffi as well. They finally get Hans. Oh, MT7 goes down. Hans finds it, and RIP closes it up at the very end. Nicely played by GOW.
The beginning of a potential comeback. This is what I want to see from this team. And if they can start to get this ball rolling, Gideon, I think there is a very possible reality that GOW will be able to equally challenge Fluxo. Because remember, right now Fluxo, they are working with a better economy than GOW. So now the tables are starting to turn. Are we finally going to see the Wolves overcome their biggest challenge yet?
Well, not yet, not yet. Fluxo is going to take a full, I want to say full econ round, but they have invested just a little bit. Now, the UAVs taken out very early on, and the cyber airdrop going to get contested. And Woodson, he's bought up to at least an MP5 at this point, upgraded in a matter of fact, to try and make sure that this doesn't go unscathed. Now, they've already secured 3 cyber airdrops, plenty to work with on their side as they valiant dash on through to try and isolate their targets and even block them off from the exit. Beautifully played by Woodson. Drops down his own time turners, but unfortunately can't get through with the help of the Iris. Dian making sure that it is worth the effort, worth the time. But with M5s in hand, it can only go on for so long. RIP finds 1. He's looking for the X. He's finished off the target. The high ground has been contested, and they did take too much damage, forcing RIP and Demon to hide back in this corner. The smoke is good, but right now Fluxo are just looking that much better.
Wow, so GW, interesting choice. They are playing on that low ground, and Fluxo, they can see them, but the issue is they can't reach them unless they jump down themselves. So I think this is a smart play from GW so far to be able to use that cover, but unless there's some kind of follow through for GOW, they're just going to lose the round very, very slowly to Fluxo. Their circle is closing in. And depending on the trajectory of that next circle, maybe Demon is going to be in a position where he can potentially pull off a miracle round. But again, it depends if he's able to get those money shots and if the circle works in his favor, and that just not even given the chance. GU says this round is ours. We are now at match point. You need to win the next 4 games if you want to push it to a game 3, and we are not going to give you that opportunity. Fluxo is just playing so good today.
Yeah, it's crazy to see that Fluxo are being more frugal than the Asians themselves, right? Again, they're like, all right, I don't have an M5. You picked up an M5 from Demon earlier. Okay, cool. You go handle it. I am not willing to lose my weaponry this early on. I want to make sure that I'm carrying over at least some of the good stuff for this round, because now this is a make it or break it for GOW. AWM's coming up from MT7. VSK's on buffs as well as an M5. Same goes for GU. I think Butsin, he's been putting his neck on the line every single time, and now he wants to deal with the initial flank from RIP. They've kind of changed the score on how these 1v1s go. Even GU forced out to use his time turner as RIP is in a really awkward spot. He is just chaining fighting into people that he wasn't expecting. While you see on the backside, plenty of time being bought, and after the clue pop, they know exactly where they're going to be. Center of the map controlled by GOW, and finally Dian gets his head blown off before RIP actually goes down, and now Fluxo reclaim high ground. Butsin does end up getting traded. Demon does find one. They have to be aware that Demon, currently with the AWM in hand, is still a dangerous threat, so they're going to just nade him out of place and let MT7 do the rest. Booyah! Achieved, and that is a clean 2-0 from Fluxo.
Our 2024 champions just flexing their skill in not just Battle Royale, but now also Clash Squad on the global stage. This is clearly going to be the team to look out for in the Clash Squad stage. I'm pretty sure everyone is watching them to see how do you beat them. What is the recipe for this team, and how can we ruin their plans? But I think Fluxo, they're just pretty content with themselves. You know, they're a quick 2-0 set for them. They're just going to have to get ready for their next matches. I'd love to know from Fluxo's POV, who out of the field of teams in Clash Squad this year are they considering their arch nemesis? Like, what team do they fear? I don't think they fear anybody, but who technically do they fear the most if they end up in a grand final round with them?
They're probably looking towards, Countryside, looking at R7 or looking at E1, one or the other, I would assume, because they're probably the more familiar with what they're capable of. But I think that Fluxo, not much to be scared about if that's how they're going to play, right? It's one of the few things that you don't get to see a lot in Battle Royale, and that's how to condition your opponent, and more importantly, what Fluxo is extremely good at, taking advantage of bad habits. We saw that RIP consistently was going to be the one on that flank. They also figured out that he likes to actually fall back into places within line of sight of his opponents, which is why we saw Hans lose his head in that final round. They didn't know this until halfway through. Fluxo are just downloading their opponents.
Downloading them through their minds, through their gameplay. I think this is going to be a very scary reality for all of the competitors in Clash Squad, seeing how quickly Fluxo can adapt to their opponents. Because yes, Fluxo know how to play their own game, but they read GOW so quick, so fast. Like, every round you could see the team was learning and just basically problem solving their opponents. And you can see towards the end, right, I think Fluxo just something clicked and the team realized, okay, this is how GOW play. We now know how to dismantle them. And sure, there may be 1 or 2 rounds where they didn't do so well, maybe a mistake was made, but man, Fluxo looks so good today. We have an interview lined up with Fluxo, so let's see what they have to say after securing their first win here for Clash Squad.
All right, congratulations, Fluxo. What a game. 2 straight win going against a team that is also pretty strong. Let's have a bit of a conversation. We're here with the players as well as his translator, our very own Carol. Hi, Carol.
Hello.
Okay, so my first question is there any tips and tricks that you guys might share or could share to us? Because we see that Fluxo is adapting really well, seeing how Gao was playing today. They really know how to, strategize and to go against Gao. What is the key of success that Fluxo has to win today's game?
A primeira pergunta é se existe alguma dica que vocês gostariam de dar? Qual que é a chave do sucesso de vocês conseguirem implementar um jogo tão fácil e muito forte em cima do time do Vietnã, da Gal?
Eu acho que nosso time é um time que é muito forte de bala, na trocação de tiro, eu acho que todo mundo é muito bom. Então isso, querendo ou não, num 4x4, que é você trocando tiro o tempo todo, é algo que favorece muita gente. E além disso, a gente tem um tático muito bom, a gente tem uma experiência muito boa, uma história assim dentro do jogo muito boa que faz nosso time ser muito sólida. Eu acho que em qualquer tipo de modo de jogo.
Basically, we have a lot of chemistry together. We have a lot of history together. So we know what each other are thinking. We can use this chemistry to build a good strategy inside of the game. So yeah, it's not all about the abilities, but the chemistry that we have like for many years together.
Ah, that's interesting. Yunsu, do you have anything to ask them as well?
Yes, I'm very excited because as we all know, Fluxo right now is the championship of the Clash Squad in Brazil, right? So it is an honor for us to interview them here. So for MT7, since we are moving into a new meta, completely new items are included in the game. So I would like to ask MT7, how could you guys adapt so fast and achieve this winning so easily?
Bom, a pergunta é sobre o novo meta. Como é que vocês conseguiram se adaptar tão fácil ao novo meta? Porque aos olhos das pessoas de fora, vocês estão realmente assim, jogando livremente, como se já tivessem aprendido o meta desde ontem.
Mano, acho que vai mais da base de treino. A gente treina bastante, dias e noites, treinando bastante esse novo meta. E acredito que isso ajudou muito a gente a aperfeiçoar mais o jogo.
So, honestly, we just have been practicing a lot, and that is the main key. So we have been practicing every day, all the time, and we are just focused to learn the new meta, and it's no secret, it's just practice.
Ooh, no secret, just practicing. And speaking of both formats, Clash Squad and Battle Royale, what do you think are the chances of Fluxo winning in both formats? Because we know, and we've been talking about it, can Fluxo win it again, both this time?
Quais são as chances do Fluxo ganhar os dois modos, tanto o modo CS quanto o mapa aberto, Battle Royale?
Pelos nossos treinos e resultados, eu acho que tem uma boa chance, ainda mais por ser os atuais campeões do modo Battle Royale. Tomamos um fumo ali no Ninja Clash, mas eu acho que a gente voltou pro Brasil, a gente treinou muito, conseguimos no Brasil fazer uma campanha incrível no 4x4, então acho que a gente vem bem preparado.
Well, we have been very prepared for that. We have been practicing both Battle Royale and Clash Squad. Of course, in our past, during Ninja Clash, we didn't do so well, but we have learned from our mistakes, and right now we feel 100% prepared for that. So our chances to win everything is really high.
I think it's very important that practicing is very important, right? So maybe that is why they got it here, and I think it's so good for them right now. And for Battle Royale, I think they can come back stronger than the last time. What about you, Conchita?
Oh, I think so too. So is there anything you'd like to say to the viewers and the fans of Fluxo, guys?
Tem alguma coisa que vocês gostariam de compartilhar com as pessoas que estão assistindo, principalmente os fãs do Fluxo, talvez?
Mano, quero mandar um beijo pra toda a minha família, mandar um beijo pros torcedores do Fluxo, que é só um beijo, segue o Fluxo e é nóis.
Right now, we just want to share our love and our thoughts and say we are very grateful for all the Brazilian fans that are watching us right now because it's morning time in Brazil. It's around 8 in the morning, so we are very grateful for all the people that are watching us right now this early in the morning. So thank you so much. Kisses for my family and fans.
How do you say good morning then in Portuguese? How do you say good morning?
Bom dia.
Bom dia!
How to say that?
Yes, I am.
All right then, thank you so much and congratulations once again. Now let's go back to the casters. Take it away, casters.
And there you have it, words from winners themselves. Of course, humble as ever, but you can see the competitive level that they're putting themselves at and why they are coming in there almost nonchalantly confident about their own capabilities. You can't be like us. You don't have the years backing us together. And better yet, just the way that they have been playing. They've been practicing in and out, day in, to make sure that they win everything.
Look, they know they're good, and I think if you're as good as Foxo, you deserve to flaunt your skill, your ability as a player, and even just to openly say, like, we can win everything. I mean, they didn't say they would win everything,
it's
but
implied.
they have a high chance. Yeah, so it's implied, like, they know that they very likely have a good chance of taking everything this year. So I'd be a little bit afraid for the rest of our competitors, especially for Clash Squad and Battle Royale, because if they actually take everything, Fluxo is probably going to be the team to set the new standard for Free Fire going into 2026. So we have to see if anyone can potentially challenge them in that regard. We do have to prep actually for the next matchup as well, folks, because we do have 6 matchups lined up for today. But before we introduce our second match of the day, we do need to celebrate all of our teams and players that have performed very well in our first game. And firstly, game MVP for game number 2 is none other than MT7, putting in the work with the clue. And look what we have here, Gideon. We have a hammer.
That's what I was hoping to see, because you don't go into some of these rounds without the extra upgrades. And it's great because, as you saw, with so many bonus rounds that they actually got, bonus rounds or even econ rounds that they got, they were making sure that they were having some pretty decent upgrades thanks to this enhanced hammer. Whether it's finding eliminations, which he didn't find too many of, he didn't mind because it's given to you as the rounds go by. So the beautiful thing is that it affects everybody on his team, right? Everybody gets to be a part of this epic bonus. And that's probably why Butson can be a little bit more cost efficient with the way that he plays. And he doesn't mind actually going down, knowing that the enhanced hammer is coming back up the next round.
Yeah. Now, the scoreline for our second game between Fluxo and GOW ended 6-2. So, Fluxo, very, very convincing round. Yes, it's not a 6-0, but they looked beautiful in their first game of the day. We do want to have a quick look at the match summary as well, just so we can round things up here for our first game of the day. Ultimately, 2-0 in this best of 3 set. I think it wouldn't be too far to say that Fluxo were favored to win this set. 2-0 was probably the very likely scoreline as well, just because GOW, they barely scraped into Clash Squad to begin with. And unfortunately for GOW, I believe in past Clash Squads, they didn't do so well either, so they're probably not super practiced in the game mode. And I don't blame teams for not being comfortable in Clash Squad, because even though it's very, very similar to Battle Royale, you're still playing 4 versus 4. Strategically, there are some pretty big differences between the two game modes. So not everything is going to translate 100% between the two. But I have to say though, GOW playing that well against Fluxo, I think you've got to be proud of yourself. You got to be proud. You're going to learn a lot of things, and maybe in their lower bracket matches, maybe they learn a thing or two from Fluxo, and that brings them through that lower bracket and pushes them into the next play day. Now, Gideon, let's talk about our bracket here. We've just finished up our first game. What are we looking at for our next matchup?
All right, for our next matchup, it's going to be a bit of a civil war within South America. The big rivalry between Latam as well as Brazil. R7 faces off against E1. And obviously, all of the fans of the West are like, why? Why did it have to be like this? And sorry to say, that was just their rankings within Battle Royale. But we got to look at some of these match highlights because, again, as you mentioned and clearly stated, some of these skills don't really transfer over, and some of these habits can be taken advantage on. Here in map number 1, we can see that as long as Hans makes an uncomfortable move or falls back into his muscle memory, these are readable motions that Fluxo have taken into consideration when dealing with the Cassie. And not to mention, once we get into game number 2, right, the different usages of the Iris, well, whether it's MT7, but in this case, Diane, they were using it at the right times. However, MT7 has better communication with the rest of his team, knowing who he is poking down so that he can capitalize on the initial damage that was laid out by Butsin.
Yeah, and I think it also helps the Fluxo that they picked a somewhat unconventional lineup. I think a lot of teams wouldn't have really drafted in the way that they have. They drafted great for their own individual players. They're all very capable of playing their characters and utilizing their actives. But for the other teams, I don't think you would get much scrim practice with a team such as that. So, like, how would you even practice and how would you even know to react to Fluxo's draft in match number 2? So, I mean, I'm glad that we had something a little bit unconventional for our first matchup of the day, because I'm kind of expecting some more of this from our teams today. Who knows? Maybe we'll fall back into that general rhythm. But we only saw a short run for Nero. I think there was definitely, there still currently is a bit of discussion as to how Nero sort of fits into the Clash Squad meta. Now, bear in mind, we only saw one best of 3 today. We still got 5 more games to go, so maybe we see a little bit more Nero. But just based off of what we did see, Gideon, how are we kind of feeling with our Nero picks here? Like, is there potential for Nero to kind of pop off as a potential pick?
I think that Nero definitely has potential, and I think it specifically does very well into the standardized comps that most people are used to in these internationals, or whether it's in their locals when it comes down to the drafting phase, right? Nero works really, really well with either an A1, very, very useful at shutting down your opponents, completely silencing them, on top of making sure that they can't use glue walls, so it turns it into a very uneven, unhonest fight where one can use glue walls and the others can't, or you can even lean into the Skylar, especially in hold-up positions. You throw that plush, you expect everybody to look at that plush, you start stripping away the glue walls, and instantly you have line of sight. Those are the few ways that we know for certain that you can utilize it. But how many? Because we've seen that at least when Nero comes out, there's a bit of a compromise in, do we have the extra firepower to strip away more resources, or do we lean back into something like Coda or Clue? Because half the battle is information.
Yeah, that is true, right? Because we did see some teams try to get away with no vision and it backfired. I don't think I've seen any team be able to thrive in that kind of environment. So it is time to get into game number 2 here, folks. Very exciting matchup here. So I guess we get ready for our next matchup, folks. It's going to be Movie Stars R7 going up against E1. Get ready for it, folks. But first, let's introduce our teams and the players.
All right, survivors. The heat continues right here in Jakarta.
It is time for another fiery Clash Squad showdown. This time, a Latin American classic.
That's right. In this matchup, we've got R7 from Latam taking on E1 from Brazil. 2 teams who know each other very well.
For years, Brazil has been seen as the dominant force in the region, while Latam has always been sidelined. Will that change today?
Well, R7 has shown that they can stand toe-to-toe with anyone. They finished higher than E1 in the Battle Royale standings, 4th versus 5th. And today they're ready to prove it wasn't just a fluke.
It is also a clash of styles. R7 brings that wild, fearless aggression, while E1 prefers precision, control, and tactile execution.
So it's passion versus patience, chaos versus calculations. It doesn't get more Latin than this, I think.
So, let's bring out the teams.
From Latam, a team that's been on the rise since the start of the tournament. They are also the Clash Squad champion of their region, led by their wonder kid, Games King, followed by Della, Hus, and Joker. They play fast, fearless, and full of flair. This is Movie Star R7!
Brazilian powerhouse, a team that never stops evolving, finishing fourth in last year's global finals. They are back to reclaim their place among the elite. With the veteran rusher, Pal 7 returning to the roster alongside Vitin XP, Lion, and Vitin 9, get ready to roar for E1! Respect first, rivalry next. The players exchange systems as a mark of professionalism.
Once the round begins, it's all fire and fury. Time to crush down and let the battle ignite! Two Latin giants step into one arena. Pride, passion, and power will collide tonight. Only one will rise above the rest.
It is a duel between aggression and calculation. Raw fires versus refined control. Which flames burns brighter under pressure?
The stage is ready and the heat is real. Now, casters, good luck and take it away!
All right, folks, welcome to match number 2. It's our second game of the day after we've concluded our first one. And this one's a bit of a doozy, Gideon, okay? Is no Asian teams at all. We have a LATAM and Brazil rivalry match. And in their region, this is a extremely big deal because you have your pride on the line. You also have to wave your region's flag as well. And I think this is going to be a pretty interesting one because there are different, there are things that both of these teams have that the other doesn't. And so far, just based on the stats that I have seen, I can't really put my finger and say this team is the favorite or this team is the favorite. They have their own pros and cons as to what make them really great. Just a quick update in case people don't follow the LATAM and Brazilian regions. So for Movistars R7, they are the Clash Squad champions for LATAM 2025 this year. And they qualified globally through the regular season as the number 1. And they're known for their rhythm and their unpredictability in terms of team gameplay, which we saw in Battle Royale. I love how this team plays in Battle Royale. As for E1, representatives of Brazil, they are labeled as a very structured and composed team with top-tier mid-round adjustments. So I'm kind of expecting E1 to learn about Movistars' playstyle and be the adaptive team. Whereas Movistars, they're probably the ones to set the tempo moving from game 1 onwards.
I have to agree with that. I think the Movistar R7, if not, I think the real question is whether E1 can adapt fast enough, right? Is it going to happen within the same map, or do they have to wait until game 2 before they fully see the big picture? And I think this is the advantage that R7 is coming in big time against them, right? Because again, with momentum piling up per rounds on top of map per map, we'll see whether or not it's going to be an overwhelming tidal wave of fluid motions in comparison to the cold, calm, and collected calculations that we're expecting out of E1. And taking everything into consideration, right? I'm hoping that we do see a couple of interesting picks coming out from R7 in particular, very similarly to what we saw in our previous matchup between Fluxo and GOW. But here's the map order: Bermuda, then Kalahari, and we end on Xterra if it pushes to a game 3.
Okay, so very solid map for both teams for game number 1. Game 2, though, I think that's where things can get really dicey, especially for any of these rosters if they don't feel too comfortable with Kalahari. I'm going to have to bring this up. During our rehearsal games, we kept going to Mammoth for our first map. And oh boy, we've seen in the past how teams struggle if Mammoth appears during any part of the Clash Squad, the Clash Squad map picks. So I'm kind of keen to see if that's going to happen again today. That's going to be game 2 though, so we can talk about that a little bit later on. But Bermuda, this is going to be a good testing ground for both of these teams because everyone knows how to play Bermuda. It's a very stock standard map. It's the standard for Free Fire esports. And from here on out, I think this is where we can sort of determine the play styles that these teams are going to be rocking. Just some quick insider information for our viewers as well, because we did manage to sort of talk to the teams. So Movistar's R7, in their opinion, they thought Vitten was the player that was going to give them the most issues because he has incredible mechanical skill and game sense. So that was straight from the horse's mouth. That's from Movistar's R7. E1, they actually think Movistar's as a team. Like, they are an issue. Okay, there's not one single player. The entire roster is a problem. And to hear them say that, I think that just goes to show how much respect they have and how scary Movistar's must be as a team, because we don't get to see it, but during like world championships and international events, teams are screaming on the side. They already know how their competitors feel like. So we don't get to see them until game day, and for E1 to say that about Movistar's R7, I think they're onto something.
I think that they just understand their current position. They're self-aware of how they play, and there's certain play styles they clearly do not like, and R7 is just checking out all those boxes. Let's get into the picks and bans here. E1, keep in mind that they are first pick. Oscar and Tatsuya are going to get banned.
Okay, so the Oscar, a no-brainer, but the Tatsuya ban, that was pretty interesting. So 2 high mobility picks taken out of the pool, but Zane is left, and so is Santino. So Zane going to be prioritized on the side of E1, and Movistar's R7, interesting choice for their first 2 picks. So the Chrono, very stock standard. Iris, we very rarely see Iris get picked up until that second phase. So for Movistar to get it now, either this is a high priority pick for the team, or maybe E1 has a really great Iris.
Yeah, I think also it's just a denial to make sure that Chrono doesn't get countered. They might as well just take the counter pick away from them straight off the bat, because it doesn't make sense if we want to see E1 actually lean into another style. But this does mean that they're giving away the Cassie, right? Again, Cassie and Zane were 2 high priority bans in map number 2 between GOW as well as Fluxo. If that is our litmus-based test, then you can understand that this composition is going to be very sustainable. Poke damage isn't as devastating as before, and you see the coda also get locked in for information. Pretty standardized comp that we're used to seeing here in Clash Squad. So the question is, does Movistar R7 want to pick up things like Ignis, like A1, to try and disrupt, or do they even care about the information you can gather? Wow, Ignis and A1, no information whatsoever.
Oh man, this team, they're confident. I will say that. They are extremely confident to not be running one of our standard vision providing actives. So, okay, let me think. You have frontline, you have disengage and engage in the A124. You have Ignis there that can play reactively and defensively, and then you have Iris as your main source of damage whilst also piercing through those glue walls. I mean, I do like the lineup here for Movistar's R7. The only thing I'm kind of worried about here, though, is without somebody to provide some cold, hard vision for the team, how are they going to ensure that their shots and their pushes land and that they don't run into a potential trap? Because that's what E1 has at the moment. They have insurance just because of the coda pick.
I think that for Movistar R7, their composition, they know that they have to play around windows, right? They can use the Ignis a little willy-nilly if they want to, but the A1 and as well as the Iris are 2 very important components of their composition, which loads their arm with just the nuke in their wrist pocket, right? The Chrono is for tempo breaking, doesn't really need a combo with anybody else, but definitely can buy them the time if Santino somehow manages to sneak into the back. So I think for the first beginning of the round, I don't know how aggressive R7 really is going to be with the composition style that they have. Maybe with the Ignis, but probably nobody else, because I think they're more worried about Santino finding that off angle, because they have no information gatherers in the first place. They got to do it the good old honest way, either buy a UAV with a strategic tactical market, or just have some guy watching the angle.
Yeah, that might be Hax's job, unfortunately, because you kind of don't want Della to be sitting in the back. You want Della to be providing support to Games King, and where else can Hax really be? He can play really far forward, but you leave Joker exposed to Pow. I'm pretty sure Pow is going to want to get his hands on that very juicy Iris. So we'll have to see, folks, especially during the first couple rounds. Not the pistol round, but rounds 2 and 3. I think we'll get a really good feel as to how these teams play. But based off of round number 1 already, we know Fluxo played kind of hybrid, actually. They didn't play their classic Battle Royale, run in your face, get all the eliminations. They actually played it quite calculative. So I guess Movistar's R7, then maybe they're going to take a page out of Fluxo's handbook, because I'm 100% sure they just watched that match.
Oh yeah, for sure. And one of the things that they can actually learn is how they compare their 2-on-2s, right? They want Ignis and Chrono to be together on the pistol round, because Ignis can walk up and harass. If he gets jumped, then you can at least use the time turner. Iris and alongside with A124 need to be relatively close to each other, because if Santino happens to pop up behind the Iris, if the A1 can hit him, oh my goodness, he's just stuck there. He is left out in the open and it turns into a 4v3. That's the worst case scenario for E1. So let's see it with the coaches finally making their last bit of contact, letting the Brawn, after giving all the brains to what they've done in the draft. Good luck to both of our competitors as we start moving into this map.
Oh, it's going to be super exciting. Our first map of this best of 3, second game of the day. Welcome to all of our viewers that are tuning in here to our first play day here for Clash Squad. It's been pretty fun here so far for game number 1. If you missed it, you can go back and rewatch the broadcast from the very beginning after today ends, because I assure you, because we have the best teams within the entire world here in the room, in the grand stage here right now, you do not want to miss any of these matches. So if you need to leave, come back, watch the VODs, because these games have not disappointed so far, especially from our front runners. Gideon, before we do jump into the game though, okay, we have seen these teams play in Battle Royale. Who are you vibing with at the moment? Who do you think actually has the better chance of taking this round of Clash Squad?
Ah, man, if you know me, you know that I love TCGs, and there's one thing I know about TCGs that I lean to that speaks to my soul as a human being. I like it red. I like it aggressive. I like to beat face, and that's why I'm leaning more towards R7, right? Because there is a moment where to beat the next plateau as an aggressive player, it's science plus violence. You can't just be all violence.
Yeah, I think I have to agree. I am definitely leaning a little bit more towards the Movistar's R7 seat, just because of what we've seen so far for Battle Royale. So, I mean, we do have some expectations, but maybe E1 is here and they're saying, okay, we might not look super flashy in Battle Royale, but Clash Squad might be where it's at, folks. And we are ready to jump into our first pistol round here. Round 1 out of 11. Who gets that first point on the board?
Oh, we'll find out here. I'm pretty sure I just saw somebody with the enhanced hammer as well, so that might come into play later down the line, especially for people like R7. Early firewall being thrown out doesn't get too much value here. So we see that E1 is deciding, you know what, we're taking the fight right into the faces of our opponents, and unfortunately, Della is able to beat Leon. Unlucky indeed. Della able to secure the kill as well, as they're looking to play on the inside. The time turner is already down with 2 separate components, even with the mannequin unable to switch in time. Vidden as well as, no, he tried to hold on, but it was just too late at the end.
And Movistars walk out with basically the entire roster. Whoa, what a bloodbath already just in that first round there for Movistars R7. E1, I could see what they were trying to do. Right, they were really trying to brute force their way in. It's just sometimes a pistol round is not going to be too kind, and because we don't really have too much econ to work with at the moment, the teams aren't really working with the best guns and equipment. So yeah, some characters do, I feel, need to really work on that macro game compared to others. Some characters, I call them econ characters because they basically function off of their active, but there are others where it's like, you don't have the good stuff. They're kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, I would, oh man, that's a really good way of putting it. They don't have the good stuff. It's too true. It's too true. But now, I was wondering whether they were even considering the cyber airdrop for the center, right? But now it looks like both sides are utilizing it to make sure that they can hurt their opponents into doing so. You see that at least for V9, I'd like to call him all the way, making sure that the flanks are going to be safe. Worried that maybe the Santino, his Santino might need some help from those back lines, and it looks like had to switch positions. Unfortunately, he knows that his side is safe, so he starts pushing up with the help of Leon as he goes in pretty hard. They take out Della, which was one of their biggest problems in the pistol rounds, but with VXP already down. Oh, wait, hold on. Finds the initiative trade onto Leon as well. Secures it, turning it into a 1v2 scenario. Pow, he's a little low. Trying to go for it and successfully nails it with a time turn and the scythe. Oh my god. Close, really close to the chest. Games King, he's now left to this potential 1v1. And he knows where he is. Pow, it's you and me. It's my rifle versus your Akimbo. Whip out your rifle if necessary. Let's see what the Akimbo can do.
I love the juking that's coming out from Pal. He's actually got the mannequin up.
Oh!
No, it doesn't matter. Games King going to claim the title for this round. I love the patience coming out from both teams, but that was painful. That was a painful loss.
It may have been painful, but Games King, this last motion here, jumping on the box to get the height to know exactly whether it was a juke and not purely relying on sound, just great game sense, and more importantly, immaculate decision making, right? Because that could have been done by Pao himself. He could have hopped onto the box, dropped the mannequin at a wider angle, or maybe just throw it as a potential fake to get a reaction out of Games King. So whoever makes these moves first usually comes out on top. Now we go into round number 3. This is the tempo breaker, right? This is where we were expecting E1 to actually punch back against R7 with higher investment this time in this round as well. Everybody's already got level 2 armor and level 2 helmets. Time turner already used. Trying to keep R7 in place. They don't want to break that line of scrimmage just yet on that northern side, as they want to make sure that Della gets punished once more. He's put down to 1. Games King goes for the flank almost instantaneously, finds it onto Leon. Games King has done it and traded 1 for 1, but he's put down to 75. With Leon already gone, E1 have to rethink the game plan, right? Vitten XP is really stuck out in the open, but he does secure the cyber airdrop, so it is worth the time.
Yeah, and because Vision's still around, they still have access to their Cassie's active, that extra healing if they're going to try and push it the distance. But the 1v1 Axis and Vitten both drop at the exact same time. And because of how far their Cassie is, there's no way that they're going to be able to pull off the same. Games King, though, trying to come in with the clutch play, but Pao going to shut him down as well, leaving Joker, the Iris, all alone to play up against Vitten Knight and Pao. I mean, it is still a very good possibility that we can see Joker take the round, but he has to be so calculative and very precise with his next up-and-coming shots. And also, it will depend on where that circle ends up rotating to, and look at that.
Oh boy. To the back to E1. They just have to hold with their upgraded Winchesters. They've been able to find a lot of good work here. And they secure it at the very end. Upgraded buffs to the Winchester. Let's go.
Yeah, a little unfortunate there for Joker. I think if the circle was going in the other direction, he may have had a chance to clean up the round 2 versus 1. It was just that because it was going in the opposite direction, he was forced to move. You're forced to go out of cover, and basically you're just left as a sitting duck. So E1 finally getting a point on the board here, pushing the scoreline 1-2 in favor of Movistar's R7. We're just getting started, but Gideon, I think we're now starting to get a feel of these two teams and how they're sort of approaching this matchup and their opponents. Lots and lots of pushing and shoving, and again with the rushes in particular, these guys, you can see they really try to fight for that initial push for their team.
Absolutely, and I think that R7, the onus is on them, as they've already broke the line of scrimmage. They find Games King almost instantaneously from the side of E1. Good fallback as they secure that kill with the MP5s in hand. They're going to be lobbing their nades. Della taking a lot of damage as Pao is looking to make this flank actually work, and once Leon is done, oh no, Vietnam also! One man does it all! Pao! Great flanks with the help of Leon. Great stuff coming in from E1. This is how you give up space to your opponents. This is how you make R7 run through the trenches.
And And I think we're now starting to see the strength of this lineup coming in from E1. They are able to make these pushes because they have one of the scariest duos in the game, especially if they're trying to go for this very push-heavy lineup. The Cassie Zane. Such a scary duo to push forward with. And then you have the support fire coming out from a Santino and a Coda. That's such a well-rounded lineup. But you are setting yourself up to win these games. Whereas, unfortunately, for Movistar's R7, we spoke about this, they don't have a classic active to provide them that vision. They have to find vision elsewhere. And so because of this, sometimes they're going into these fights blind. They're basically guessing their next move. And that's a very dangerous way to play Clash Squad, especially at such a high level. At the moment that we do have R7 hiding around the corner and E1 trying to figure out a way to break through GamesKing and Della, and we do see the push there. Leon fast one to be going down thanks to Della. Are almost going to be able to take down another player. They're trying to go through Vitzen. His connections are not quite landing though. Della on the ground. Haxpo taken out by Vitzen, XP, and Pal going to take out Della as well. And all of a sudden, Joker all alone on that Iris yet again.
Oh my goodness, really, really difficult stuff here, especially for R7 because they have to make some really difficult decisions. Joker, as much as he wants the help, he already used the binoculars early on to actually figure out where Pao actually has been hiding this entire time. He's sat in that flank for the longest of angles and making sure that he's still within line of sight of that front line without having to put himself or his body in danger. Joker, great shot there. Doesn't find a headshot, but puts him down low enough to force E1 to step back and say, hey, you know what? That wasn't cool. We'll wait for you. We've got all the time in the world. We've got Winchesters in hand. We just need, if both of us just land 2 body shots, each, one each, we'll be fine. We're not gonna clutch this round, right? We're not gonna give it over to Joker, right?
Okay, a little bit of an awkward one here for Joker because that circle is in the way for E1 so far. And actually, Joker hiding behind the wall.
Wasn't willing to take it. Didn't want to give the extra economy over.
Okay. I thought he was going to give it on a shot, but I guess sometimes you just have to give the round away to ensure that you're going to have a better try during that next round. So I wonder if E1 should have been the ones to try and actually flush him out instead of just wait for that circle, you know. Maybe that's something they could have done, but it's also risky. It's also risky to play like that, so I also don't blame them for not pushing the issue.
After the jump shot coming in from Joker, I would have been in E1's position like, you know what? I don't want to mess with you, you know? Like, let's not put ourselves in that position. Like, it's like touching a hot stove, right? It's like, ooh, that's a little warm. I probably shouldn't stick my hand there any longer than I should. I'll wait for it to cool down a little. But now they're contesting here at the house. Bitcoin compound as they throw out the UAV. This is going to give a lot of information for the side of E1 to make some sound causes, mainly for Pal 7, right? Because again, he still has the mannequin to work with. He can throw it out soon, but he doesn't want it to get shot down early on. On the opposite side, with E1 blocking off R7's main entranceway to get into this house, they've dominated that second floor, and with the bottom floor open, Pal 7 might have a couple of angles before initiating upon them.
Maybe.
Oh?
So R7, they're still hanging around the outside. E1 still hiding within that compound. I guess both teams, they're just going to kind of let that circle work its way through. Vitzen 9, though, actually going to take a detour on the other side.
Ooh.
Maybe going to try and go for a flank. We still have Joker hiding behind the team here for R7. Gideon, all it takes for one shot. They go for it. Lion takes a little bit of damage, but so far it's not too full of a commitment from either side. Both teams actually really, really scared to commit to a full fight.
Yeah, I'm surprised that E1 decided to give up the second floor. I think they knew that whoever was watching the flank had moved over to double up on that front line, and that's what kind of scared them off. They didn't want that numbers advantage to be a detriment. GamesKing now at the pinnacle height here does have eyes on roughly where Pal 7 is going to be, but no clear line of sight just yet, with the ring pushing towards the backs of E1 once again, who have again very tactically decided to back away from good fights only because it's a better position now that we are coming to the last 20 seconds. And Joker finally goes down. Leon in perfect position, a shotgun in hand, well equipped for this battle, and finds another one without the Cassie. He can keep moving forward, goes in for a double flank out into the blue, spotted out by GamesKing, saved by Vitten XP, and then the Vitten brothers close out the round.
That was beautiful coming out from E1. They waited until they knew where that circle was going to go, and they realized that R7, they had to climb out of those windows to be able to make it through to that next area for the circle. So just beautiful gatekeeping coming out from E1 to deny any movements from R7. And because of that, the scoreline is now pushed 4-2 in favor of E1. All it takes is 2 more wins here for E1 to secure match number 1, whereas for Movistar's R7, something's got to change, okay? They're starting to fall behind, and if this gap gets too big, I'm scared they're going to reach that point of no return.
Yeah, I don't know, right? Because in this round, they're investing a decent amount. They've been like kind of half buying some of these rounds, and with E1 playing for the long game, and they don't mind playing for the long game because they've got 2 cyber airdrops already, and finally a cyber point is going to be claimed. But even so, it's by E1 again. Vitten XP already down, but they traded for Della at the very least. The time turner coming in from Vitten 9. Again, what are you going to do with the A1? I've already dropped down my abilities. Oh no! Games King drops his own, but it doesn't matter, as D9 has already found one with a shotgun, 50% on the other, and Joker, he's got to bring his brothers back up now rather than later. Power 7 going to be launching that need over and puts him back down on his knees. Joker needs to win out this 1v1. He does have an HP advantage so far, but he's worried. Wants to double up on it, and the shots from the AWM was what they were looking for. Pow 7! What a big player for E1.
Jeez, that was a heart-stopper round. Oh my gosh. I fear for my brothers in arms that they're not going to be able to make it through, because dang, E1 are on fire, and now all of a sudden we're at match point with R7 still only at a 2-point scoreline. They have so many games they need to win back to back, and all of a sudden for E1 all it takes is for 1 more win. I mean, if Movistar's R7 can somehow mount a comeback, it would be a miracle at this point.
Let's see how it goes.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible. They just need to be extremely picky with these fights now.
Well, speaking about picky, right? Because Pao has been looking on this fight this entire time. Joker is looking to counter him every single time. And these fights either turn into a stalemate or somebody makes that first motion. The UAV going to get thrown out in a pretty weird angle. They do know where the flank is going to be coming from, but they didn't bother throwing it in more of a diagonal area to figure out where the rest of R7 is going to be, right? But then again, they've known on these past 4 rounds, R7 has been sticking with this 3-in-1 setup consistently. You see one member of their front line, you probably can guess where the other 2 are going to be. That being said, E1, they don't mind waiting. They'll wait until the very last second if they have to.
I think both of these teams are just going to wait to see where that next circle is going to go, because that seems to be something that has really been kicking R7 in the shins. Every single time they wait for that circle, when they figure out where the rotation's going to be, it always seems to go in favor of E1. So if I'm Movistars, I don't know if you want to leave your fate into the hands of Lady Luck, because she's been against you so far. But that ends up being the case here. Both of these teams moving in. We're starting to run out of cover. And where is this next rotation going to be? We're going to be seeing players flying through, grenades thrown as well. E1 still hiding behind that building. And Della is thinking of pushing with the team, and Haxa standing in the front lines as well. And there we go. The circle has been decided. E1 are the ones that's going to be running into R7. Can R7 defend them and stop them from getting into that circle? They're on the rooftop so far, but they haven't got a critical shot. Vitten's down. Power's down. Maybe this is the round that they're looking for.
They've already knocked down Hax at this point. Vitten 9, the only one left, faced off against 3 members of R7, and he's not well equipped for this. The headshot once again. Joker comes out big this round. 2 back-to-back headshots to secure it. And this is where we finally see some value coming out from these Ignis, right? It was such a huge deterrent. You want to go on one side, oh, cover yourself with some blue walls, flame wall. What are you really going to do about that? One more thing is the weaponry that's being purchased. Consistently, we are seeing this upgraded Winchester being brought in every single round. And even as a secondary weapon, it's either you look for a close range, which is either a shotgun, but sometimes even an AWM as well. And we've seen that both sides actually agree to this style of metagame.
Yeah, I mean, okay, like, why do you feel like the meta has sort of gone in this direction, Gideon? Like, what is it about, especially the Winchester, because the Winchester is also quite new to Free Fire. Like, what is the main perk of actually having the Winchester? Is it really just the reload?
I mean, it can't just be the reload, right? There has been a couple of buffs in recent patch to kind of make it slightly better, especially if you upgrade it. But I think both are currently, somebody is running the enhanced hammer on either side. I'm not entirely sure which player is currently running it, is why they're looking to get these upgrades cheap, fast, and again, on time when it does matter. And I think with the compositions that they have as well, especially if you are on R7, it makes a lot more sense in comparison to E1. But then you see how they're interacting with each other, right? It's just trading up blows. Pao already finds the head of Hacks, and they're looking for another one. As you can see that Leon has gone for a wide flank around. He eats the flame ball. He doesn't care. He's buffed up by the Cassie with the electrotherapy, and now with the A1 already being thrown out as well, doesn't really connect onto anything whatsoever. E1 can start closing them down, shutting them down. As a matter of fact, Turner is already down as the P90 already takes down Hacks once again. No recovery there as they secure one more onto Della to close out the map.
And E1 off to a strong start in this best of 3 set, claiming game number 1 up against Movistar's R7. And dang, they played beautifully. They utilized every opportunity given to them. I have to say, they're really good at trapping R7. I think we saw a few moments where both teams sort of waited for the circle to close in and to pick a direction to shift into. E1, they always position themselves in a way where, not always, but most of the time, they position themselves towards the center of that circle so that no matter which direction the circle takes them, they're always going to be basically not caught in a weird spot trying to rotate. They're always there shutting down Movistars, as Movistars are the ones who try and rotate. I think we also have to bring up a very important point here for Movistars. They came into game number 1 without a standard vision active, right? Like, they didn't have the coda that was on the side of E1. They decided not to go for the clue. They didn't even pick a Nero. They had nothing, really. They were relying on utilities to actually provide them that vision. And do you feel like that might have been one of the reasons why Movistars really struggled during this round? Because it almost felt like they could almost never concisely decide whether they wanted to engage or not.
Oof, that's a pretty big question, right? Because there were a couple of signals telling me otherwise. Number one, the fact that even if you don't have your traditional means of finding information, you can always pick up a Dreki as your pet to kind of just quickly, just binoculars, right? Simple binoculars, cover, eliminate one side of the map and say they're not there, nothing to worry about. Visually start looking for high vantage points because you're expecting to see them walk as a group. And then finally, of course, is your natural ways, which is throwing a UAV. It's not like they didn't throw a UAV, right? It's just that R7's UAV usually gets gunned down, especially fast because of how many members on the side, or from both sides even, having Winchesters, long-range weaponry to deal with UAVs as soon as they get deployed. So I think that R7, this is probably one of the few times that they have to deal with a team that is actually so good at, I wouldn't say dropping landmines because there is a landmine in the game, but to force them to run through the mud. Every single time you see E1 actually retreat backwards, it's always, as you mentioned, towards the center of the circle, towards their backs, facing to when the ring is going to pull eventually, right? There is some forward thinking coming out of E1, which unfortunately R7, they aren't able to capitalize on their windows that they set up for themselves. The A1 did not get as much value as we were hoping for, especially with a composition that is designed to say, hey, you know what? I want to be in your faces. I want to try and get aggressive, and I want you to crack under the pressure.
We do have to announce our MVP for the round, and Vincent XP is our MVP for the round on the Cassie. And to be fair, I do feel like Vincent XP, his positioning during the previous rounds was great. I don't think we saw many times where Vincent was the first one to be taken down. He was always in a really great defensive position to not only provide support for the team, but also to be able to provide cover fire in case he needed to dish out damage for the team himself. So positioning-wise, support-wise, this man covered everything for the team. I'd be a little bit scared if I'm Movistars.
Yeah.
I would consider either banning the Cassie moving forward, or you might even have to go for a first pick Cassie yourself, because I don't think they can really afford to give that away again to Vincent.
Yeah, no way. I think that For Vitten, I think what he's really good at is having a good idea of like the image of the battlefield, right, as a whole, not just what is in front of me and what I can see, but he truly sees with the Emperor's eye the position of my teammates, the possible positions, and also the points of contact that are currently with the shots that are being fired back and forth. What could that mean? Because all of it is just little bits of information that he's utilizing to allow his team free flow of supply lines to fall back into a safer position, or better yet, at the least fall within his own line of sight, which again, as you mentioned, great positioning. It feels like he's got eyes on the back of his head at times.
The back of his head. I mean, he is the eyes on his team's back of his teammate's head. There we go, English. Oh man, Vitten. This is what you want in a support player. You want somebody that not only is there to support your team, but he's also there to dish out the damage if the team needs him to do it. So, game number 2. It's actually game number 2 now, Gideon. And if I recall correctly, we are going to Kalahari for game number 2. So this is going to spice things up for this round, because all of a sudden we're going into a very difficult map that has a variety of things going for it. It's very open. There's verticality. There's not a lot of cover in some areas, and certain map points, especially for Clash Squad, I'm just going to bring up Mammoth. Some maps are terrible to play on. They are nightmares.
They're absolutely nightmares, and it's difficult to deal with. But I think this is what is going to putting a team at a disadvantage like this is going to make it even more impressive when they come up on top. Because representing the Latam region, R7's Della, and he's been doing this for a while. And in this quote, I've carried Latam in my heart and on my back. It's an honor to play for my region. The difference this year is there will be 2 Latam teams in the grand finals.
I want to see Movistars make it into the grand finals. But for that to happen, they really need to work hard, right? Like you really want to have that dream grand final, but you gotta break through E1. It's such a tough matchup. I mean, okay. Let's talk game 2, because that's the players. You can see the players, they're already talking strats. I love seeing this because you can tell they are taking this next game very seriously. This is E1 as well. E1 won game number 1. Let's talk solutions. Let's talk problems, Gideon. What are we considering to be major issues for both sides? Let's start with E1. Yes, they are ahead, but I do feel like there were certain times where they struggled against Movistars R7.
I think that E1 understand that mechanically speaking, I think that R7 might just be a little bit better. And I think they're very aware of that situation, which is why they're always taking 9-10 fights, 9 out of 10 fights, right? Anything below that, it's probably not worth their time, or better yet, we need to kind of set up for something later down the line. For R7, I think they need a simpler composition, right? They need a composition that really tells you, hey, this is exactly what I'm going to do, whether you like it or not. And I think they need to get rid of these glue walls, something that can strip them down. The Ignis is just a little too slow. They might have to switch on over to Skylar if they absolutely have to, assuming that they run the A1 again. But since they are first pick, let's just see. I think the bans are the most important part. Let's compromise E1's comp. Take away either the Cassie or the Zane.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Cassie's the issue rather than Zane. Like, yes, you can have a team play Zane, but as Zane without the support of Cassie, I feel it's a completely different. It's still a monster, but he's not elevated by Cassie's electrotherapy. So I feel like Cassie is going to be the priority ban if this is something that they are considering at this point of time. But at the same time, you also have other characters you have to think about, right? Like, maybe Cassie's not the issue. Maybe they're thinking that, okay, we have to ban Oscar, we have to ban Santino. Like, there are these other more offensive-based characters that we are a little bit worried about. And look at that respect ban here by Movistars R7. No Cassie for you, E1.
I also think, again, I'm really, really curious what the full setup is for the team. How many team boosters are they running? How many marks are they using? Oh, okay. I mean, if you're getting banned out the Cassie, you might as well ban out the Zane. They're going to leave Oscar wide out in the open. That's a huge advantage for R7 with their current playstyle, but they lead into the Tatsuya instead!
What? Okay, I'm convinced that they thought Oscar was banned. There's
show's
just
about
no
to begin.
way you just give Oscar away like that. Like, Oscar and Tatsuya, fundamentally, they do very, very similar things. They're not identical, but in the least. But they are both mobile, but Oscar can break through glue walls. Okay,
Legend.
if you are not picking the Oscar, does that mean that you are looking to pick up Skylar
My way back home.
later on? Pick up Coda for Vision. I swear, if they don't pick Skylar later on, I am ready to flip a table.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. What can I say? But now that Cassidy is out of the way, now things like Ignis suddenly rise up in importance, right? To people who can harass their opponents without them being able to top themselves up as quickly with the help of the electrotherapy. They go with the Steffi, which I'm like, okay, all right, not a bad idea. But are they trying to make a hard prediction here? Because apparently they are, because the A1 is going to get locked in for the side of E1, and are they going to go for surveillance? I mean, Coda's still available, but Clue's a little safer on. Oh, sorry. At least for Kalahari, Clue just makes a little bit more sense.
Okay, this makes sense. If you don't pick the Skylar here, Della, I will be very, very concerned. But if you do, then the Tatsuya makes a lot more sense. Because I was ready to flip a table. And no, not here. The iris. No, the iris. I have feelings. Feelings.
Yikes.
I'm not gonna hate it. I don't think it's a yikes. I'm not gonna hate it. I will try not to hate it. Oh man, I really was feeling the Skylar pick here because you decided to go for Tatsuya instead of Oscar, where Oscar gives you so much freedom, especially in the CQCs, being able to take down those glue walls and also still being quite mobile. And they gave it away, second pick. Oh, my heart. Itty bitty heart.
As much as we don't like it, I'm trying to figure out what's the motive for Movie Star R7. Did they have to pivot their plan midway through, or is it purely just Games King? I am comfortable on Tatsuya. Give me anything else. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing sometimes, right? Give me a Tatsuya. The comfort is going to make the difference in this game. But the Steffi as well as the Iris is the big question mark for me, right? Because Iris, at the very least, you have a way to kind of cut through the chrono, time turner. But at the same time, does that mean that everybody on Movie Star R7 wants to play a little bit more open? I'm expecting them to play a lot more defensively, actually, considering what we learned in game number 1.
Well, that's what I'm kind of getting a feeling of as well, just based off of picks. I'm actually completely disbelieved. I want Movie Stars R7. Please prove us wrong. Please prove to us that Tatsuya is better than Oscar, because I know we are quite sick of seeing Oscar constantly banned and picked because he is just so outrageously versatile and in a certain regard also quite OP. I know at some point Tatsuya was that guy as well. We just got nerfed a little bit. But to see it again and to be prioritized over Oscar, I really want to see here from Movie Stars. Show me that Tatsuya is the guy. Show me that he's secretly been the guy in the background. He's a little more subtle about it compared to Oscar, right? Oscar's super flashy. We always see all these amazing plays by the Oscar players. But Tatsuya can also do the same thing too.
Yeah, I mean, Tatsuya's been the face of Free Fire for the past 2.5 years, 3 years. Let's round it up and be generous with it, right? Because there are ways that it can work, but it really depends now that they've kind of changed his Rebel Rush to you need to get a knockdown to get the reset, and that's a little hard to do in Clash Squad, considering that there's so many ways for you to kind of rotate the aggression, right? You can put somebody down to 90 HP, but if somebody body blocks the shots, you're denied the dash and you're kind of left out in the open, which is why a lot of teams lead into the Oscar in the first place. I get instant value. I see glue wall, I break glue wall. If I hit a person, they get CC'd, and I'll whip out my gun first. That's exactly what people have been wanting for the longest of times. And I think right now in Kalahari, unless they get super unlucky with what side of the map they get on, for an example, Mammoth or Santa Catarina, those are the two maps where the 50-50s really hurt.
Yeah, and I think that's also one of the reasons I think why we made so much noise with the Tatsuya being prioritized over Oscar is that the follow-up for it was not the Skylar. I felt like, I mean, we both saw this, we both had the same idea that Skylar felt like the perfect pick because Skylar is the perfect follow-up for a Tatsuya where if there is a glue wall, you have the Skylar there to provide the backup, break the glue wall. Sometimes it's also quite a bit of a surprise maneuver that teams that are on the receiving end of the Riptide Rhythm, they're not ready for it. So Tatsuya is ready to get that elimination to reset the dash. But we have Iris instead, meaning that now, I think it's Games King that was piloting the Tatsuya this round. Now, not only does he have to worry about dealing with the glue walls when he fights, but now I think he has to rely more on his teammates to set up. Because if you're not in sync for these setups, Tatsuya, unfortunately, this character can also fall flat on its face if you don't have the necessary start. Santa Catarina is going to be round number 1 for our map. So it's not Mammoth, so it's not too difficult, but we have seen teams really struggle playing on Santa Catarina, and this is the pistol round as well. So we're probably going to be in for a really interesting round.
Yeah, I mean, every single time, it's a little bit of a 50-50 because the butt of the ship is really weak overall. When you have access to the high ground, it's even better. And Bitten 9 already with the USP. He's just making sure. He's just putting in the work of the office hours and another jump shot. This is why R7 was worried about this guy specifically. He is just putting in the work. Oh my god.
They basically just put Oscar on a serving dish and said, "Here you go, Vitten. We are afraid of you, but here you go. Have one of the best characters in the entire game." Not to say that the fact that he had Oscar really made a difference in the pistol round, but this is not the kind of start that you're looking for if your movie stars R7 because you've given away such a strong character and it's basically a strong lineup to E1 already. If anything, you kind of want to give yourself as much of a lead as possible so you have more leeway in case things do go a little sideways during that mid-game. But we are going to be seeing these teams on Shrine now, and it's a bit of a split here so far. E1 going for more of a horizontal split, whereas for Movie Stars, they're a little grouped up with one of their players a little further away. I believe it's Della. Oh, sorry, it's Joker actually on the Iris that's decided to split with the team. So as long as Joker doesn't get picked off, this might be an okay position to be for R7. But again, it's going to depend on those angles. And actually, looking at Joker's angle right now, I'm not really a fan of that position.
I think he's got coverage by Games King as well as Della, because Della's holding the top, right? But he's holding towards the backside. Wait, hold on. Never mind. He's changing his position because they're now smoking for the front and they're running straight for the cyber airdrop. Can he actually make it happen? The clue's going to get active almost instantaneously. A1 does connect up towards Della's side, but hacks. He ends up going down quickly. Lion drops down the time turner to buy himself some time. His POW and his Vitnet XP is just gunning them down one by one. A huge punish as they try to cross the roads. And each one of them didn't check their left and right.
Oh man, so that very thin split really working for them there. Oh man, but I have to say though, Vitten XP setting that up for the team, actually being the one to get rid of Joker, and that's the A124 player as well. Oh man, I fear for R7 at the moment because I feel like it's not quite clicking with them yet as to how E1 is currently playing. E1, they can play incredibly aggressive if they want to, but they also recognize that they don't need to. They can wait for that opportune moment to go in for the fight against R7 because now they have a 2-game lead, and they also have a very generous lineup that won't easily be punished. It's not a lineup that requires so much execution power. It's really down to positioning and just finding that little tiny opening. And POW, trying to go for the shot there. Not a lethal one yet, but doing quite a bit of damage. Oh, Joker! Gotta be so careful playing on the window there, almost getting one-tapped. But the Iris doing the best they can to try and break through this lineup. But you can see right now, Joker's struggling. I feel like he's hesitating because he's constantly watching his 6.
Yeah, he is worried. He's worried he's going to get crept up upon, and in the past 2 rounds, he's either been hit by random bits of util, or he gets gunned down almost immediately after Hax tries to take the aggression. And I think that Joker, this is why he wants to play a little bit further back, because they depend on him to find that pick. They depend on him to start cleaning up the mess that's going to be made by Games King and Della, assuming that he can get in position to actually find that entry frag. Even so, smokes are being deployed right down the center of the map, making sure that Pow can't really see much here, can't really do much as well, as R7's very wide spread is trying to make sure that if anybody tries to go for the cyber airdrop, they're going to get highly punished. Max, he legs it across, tries to go and claim it for himself, but he has to hide for now, prone on the floor. Do they have another smoke to bail him out of that situation? I'm not entirely sure, as Pow 7 now realizing that Hax has moved, he's quickly finding an old flank of his own, forcing them in a position where they have to come towards them every single time. It seems that they find the way to do it.
Oh, I think the team is struggling to break through, because look at this clip from E1. They are gunning down R7 like they are a bunch of ducks, and they get all their ducks in a row. E1, okay, movie stars R7, I feel like they have picked up on this, but I feel like they're playing into E1's hand every single time, because E1, every single round we are seeing this team play patiently and waiting for the circle to come in and to decide the next direction. Whereas for R7, I don't know if they are also purposefully waiting for that circle to move in and change direction as well. But every single time, I just don't know how E1 does it. They are constantly winning that matchup. I kind of feel like if you're R7, you are in desperation mode now. You can't play into E1's strat anymore. You need to do something different. You can't just let E1 constantly control the flow of these fights.
Yep, every single elimination coming out from E1, every single round that they win from this point forward is just going to be a bonus round. They've lost a tempo break in Mid-9 already. He's teaching Joker, hey, this is why you don't give me Oscar, sir. Your glue walls mean nothing to me, and now it's a 4v3 scenario, which is the worst for R7, because they're trying to control the center of the map as much as possible. You see, wait, actually, something's happening around the side flanks as well. A 1v1 is ensuing as the last 3 members of E1 are collapsing upon the center of the map. Della, you might be in some trouble here. Looks like A1 was lobbed halfway across the map to deny him the opportunities. Mal could drop it. Oh no, he's in the middle of the run. He can't reveal as he's dealing with Hack. He wins out with the MP5. Finally, the flank actually breaks through to even up 3-3 as Della is the next one to fall. The Vitten brothers are still holding strong. Where's Leon? Where is Leon? As Hax is able to try and figure out the position of Vitten XP, he's going to be lobbing that nade. Luckily, the glue wall blocks it just in time. Good reaction. And he drops back down, keeping it to ground level. E1 playing at the very edges here. R7 giving them a taste of their own medicine. We don't know where the next ring is going to pull towards. The position seems to be good for now. Oh,
but Games King! He gets caught by Leon! And that was all it took. That was all she said. Sniped right back down. And just when it looked like R7 was starting to get a feel of E1, just a little bit too slow, a little bit too late. But I have to say though, Gideon, I do like how this round turned out for R7. Yes, they lost it, but they are slowly adapting. They're slowly picking up, but the thing is, they're picking up very, very late. And they haven't even won a round yet, with a 4-game lead set by E1. This comeback, if it happens, it's probably going to be the comeback of the year for a team in Clash Squad.
E1, they've already decided to buy up a little, get a couple upgrades for their weapons, but there we go, the conditioning, that's exactly what we want to see. E1 has been taking advantage of R7 because of the cyber airdrop every single time. Oh no, they don't punish it! Claimed by R7! Della, nicely done! And even the tire turner being used by Leon, and they have to hold on for as long as possible. Della, if he can just buy a little bit more time, his backup is right around the corner. They try to go for the big swing, doesn't find it, but the trading in and out, the push and pull from E1 has always been their biggest problem. Joker blows off his head, no problem, and now the backline getting attacked. Games King able to find one, unable to trade it. Next, he ends up losing in a 2v1 scenario. Games King comes up huge.
There we go, and maybe this is the comeback arc for R7 that we have been waiting for. They put a point on the board, and to top it all off, 2 cyber airdrops. Their economy is slowly starting to pick up on the side of R7. Gideon, what are the odds of this team making that comeback happen? Because I said just now, the odds of it not looking too great, but I think the team, I think that they're getting it. I think something's clicked. Someone's turned the light switch on.
Now, I mean, they've been giving a lot of respect to E1, and now they're realizing ever so slowly they can actually play a little disrespectful. They can steal away the cyber drops early because there's not enough pressure coming up from E1's side. They should have done this from round one, but they set the foundation with their economy. If they want to be able to win consecutive rounds, they also need to make sure that E1 doesn't find another round for at least the next 3. So for now, it's going to be a battle of attrition, utilizing that economy as much as they possibly can here. Ice Grenade is being nades being lobbed out towards. Ooh, good time turner coming in from Vitten XP. It's a big resource, and I think now R7 can get a little bit more encouraged to get back into that fight, right? It's a 1-2-1 situation format for E1. R7, they just need to find the weak point. And Games King, he makes the opportunity. They trade 1 for 1. Leon and Pao need to make sure that Della do not find the trade. But, oh no! The Hep5 once again! Big shot that he whips up the VSK to blow off Pao's head. If it's not for Games King, then it's gotta be Joker who makes the plays.
Movie stars R7, this team is coming alive. They are waking up and they are ready to take this second game off of E1. They refuse to get 2-0 in this best of 3 set. I think now E1, they're starting to realize this game is slipping away. The economy on the side of R7 is building, and it's building rapidly. Whereas for E1, with every loss that they take, I feel like it is going to be even more devastating. Now, here's the thing that we do have a bit of an X Factor map here. Mammoth. This is a very tough map to navigate, so maybe this is where E1 can break the streak coming from R7, because if they can break it here, maybe this could be the game breaker. And right now we've got 3 players on the side of R7 climbing up the spine of the Mammoth. Joker going to be going the long way on the other side, away from his team. Very risky play, because if he gets caught, he's not going to have any support to protect him.
Leon preemptively dropping the time turner of his own. He knows that Games King is right around the corner, but he's trying to deny at least 50% of the space to Leon. He tries to fall back, knowing that Vitten XP can't cover his back just yet, and he quickly drops on a wall as much as he can. They have to worry about the backside as well, but the MP5 from that far away was able to find the kill. Even so, the spine has been cleared. The biggest problem out of the way, and now the last member falls. R7 pulling it back 3-4.
3-4, and their coffers are overflowing with money. Oh boy, we might be getting that game through that we're asking for, Gideon. R7, we were worried for the longest time after seeing them not be able to claim a game after 4 rounds, but the comeback is starting to feel very, very real now. And now the spotlight is going to have to shine on E1, because they now need to figure out how to stop this rampaging R7 train.
I mean, they should have kept up with the conditioning, right? They always need to pretend as if, yeah, we're super interested in this cyber airdrop. And only if you see R7 being disrespectful do you respond, right? But because oh, wait, hold on. Leon goes all the way down to the bottom of the refinery. This is not that great. We'll see, because I'm not sure if R7 spotted that out, because they're getting hyper-aggressive here on purpose, and now they've already connected it to 1. Vitten 9, he's in a little bit of trouble. He quickly drops on down the time turner. He's got to win this, but he manages to pull back out just in time, and still, the Vitten brothers go down, hack the Games King, get their revenge, and Della has been chilling this entire time, but he needs to make sure he lands the shots. No! Unfortunately, enough on Pao. Leon is able to find Della on the opposite end. Time turner as well, trying to deny as many points as possible, but it finally falls into the hands of Joker. That's what we were looking for. R7 pull it back one more time, 4-4.
We started from 0-4 in favor of E1, and all of a sudden the scoreline is 4-4 apiece for both R7 and E1. We have a game, Gideon. We absolutely do. And all of a sudden, I think now E1 are starting to sweat bullets, because they were the ones to set the pace of the game up until this point. And they have lost 4 games back to back to back. And if they don't stop this push coming from R7 anytime soon, I kind of feel like they're going to lose all the momentum, and no economy is going to save them from this avalanche that is coming towards them. And look at this. What a weird, awkward decision to go for this very open fight, but I think E1 realizing it's time for a desperate measure for a desperate time. So far, nobody has been picked up as of yet, though, but E1, all it takes is for a single one tap, a crucial one at that, but they can't get the angles. Look at the defensive posture for R7.
I think that R7 just give up the space. They don't care, right? Look at how many E1 glue walls have been utilized here. That's significantly more compared to what R7 has already done. They just need to take control over the center and deposition Powell. They know that there's a sniper hiding in the mist, and that's just the way that Council Hall is generally going to be played. And now with the contention, Joker is going to give his best shot. He's going to pop the Iris as well. Against him, unfortunately, gets caught with his back, with his hands down. Hacks. He can't do much about it. It's too far away. He cannot keep it covered around the corner. But now he finds a new pair. He's going to have to make sure that Della is going to be nearby. Upside though, going to get start collapsing almost pretty quickly. They fall into the same side, and Joker in the middle of a fight against two. Vit9 able to take him out instantaneously. They turn the tides. However, hopping off, can he find and chase this kill down on towards Vit XP? No, they put him low. Vit XP lands the headshot. Hacks. He's next, Vit XP. He's got one more in him. He's got one more, and he finds another. Della ends up going down in the middle of that trade, leaving only Leon and Hacks to deal with the rest. But Leon, he's able to revive his members on the bottom side. Hacks, on the other hand, can technically pull back Della, but it's going to be a 3v2 scenario. We go back to even Stevens, but even so, medkit game, yep, it's looking very good. Vit XP, he might need some help from Vit9 to drop him a couple. They're just going to wait this out.
I think, yeah, it's really going to have to come down to positioning. The circle has been decided, and it has completed its full rotation here. So now these players, they know where the center point is going to be. And this one's really not favorable for R7 at all. Actually, Hack's going to jump in from the back. They get the kill onto Vincent. They came in from the back. E1, I think they were expecting them to jump from the other side, but they went for the stealth jump and the back, and they got the back shots. Oh my lord!
In a 3v2 scenario, how did it end up like this? I mean, you can tell, both Vit9 and Vit XP, they were going to die in like one shot because their body armors had already crumbled. The war of attrition was finally won by R7 at the very end. Super surprising how this ended up. I was expecting R7 to be the ones to say, hey, we see that wide flag. Oh, we're actually back on Council Hall.
Okay, so a bit of a rematch here. Maybe E1, if they could win this map, at least they will be able to take back some of this honor. But I don't know, if I'm E1 and I'm back on Council Hall after what just happened, I would be feeling a little bit triggered here. So right now, E1 going to try and take it really, really slow. But as you can see here so far, Movistar's R7, they're looking to go for the push, and actually both teams going for a bit of a clockwise rotation. E1 trying to avoid this fight as much as possible, even jumping to the low ground as well. Vit9 paired up with Powell, both going to be healing behind the Colosseum. And they're looking to re-enter the fight. Oh, we are seeing some damage taken there by Joker, very low on the Iris. Will be able to heal up, but look at this Powell. He's right there, his teammates there as well. Can they break through the glue wall in time? Nope, Joker's been able to juke out of there. Oh man, you can tell E1 are desperate to get that man advantage.
They really are. They really are. But now they're on the backside of Council Hall. Not a lot of ways to actually get back into, get back in with a lot of the exits actually being closed off. They're just gonna have to power their way through. Powell now holding on to the lower ground. Joker finds him with a VSK headshot, eliminates him as well as Della finally swings out from top high ground. He needs to start jumping. He needs to start moving now. And then pushed out him out of the time turner. Della and Hacks find one each to close out the round. Nicely played as the full turnaround from R7 has been there this entire time. They laid the foundations. They figured out what they could get away with, and they executed it perfectly with the extra econ from the cyber airdrops.
We're going to a game number 3, ladies and gentlemen. I think Movistar fans are breathing a sigh of relief. Maybe some of them are going to stop holding their breath now because, oh boy, that set had me screaming internally, thinking, is it really just going to be a 2-0? Is it just going to be E1? But the movie stars, they're motivated. They finally started to figure out E1, and I think now I kind of wonder how's E1 feeling after this, because they were on a massive streak before everything just went downhill. I'd be feeling a little bit shaken to have my team be basically reverse sweep on that second game.
Oh yeah, I think the foundation set by R7 was great. They just needed to keep winning consecutive rounds, and that's exactly what they did. But the biggest problem that I saw from E1, they didn't do their due diligence. They were conditioning them from map number 1, and then coming into map number 2, we didn't see as much resistance over the cyber airdrop, and that should have been the signal for R7 to do it right from the get-go in map number 1. They only learned it on the second half, which was great for them, but at high cost and at very high risk. But luckily, now that it has paid off, I think that E1, what else do they have in the strategy book? The conditioning has failed at this point. Now, do we need to show more resistance? If so, is it back to going to those super wide swings in Council Hall like we saw in rounds 10 and 11?
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, like, I hope E1 has something left back in their back pocket, because I think to a certain degree, Gideon, I don't know if you agree, do you feel like E1, after seeing 2 rounds of them play, they're starting to feel a little bit predictable? Like, you can see that they are a team where they do love to push, but they only like to push after that first circle has finished in closing, and it's going for that rotation. Like, that's what we saw for map number 1. That really worked well for them. Game 2, we saw a lot of that as well, but as soon as R7 stopped allowing E1 to play that game, I feel like that's where everything just collapsed. E1 were no longer in the driver's seat because R7 didn't let them sit in the driver's seat.
No, I agree. I think that E1 becomes a little bit more predictable in those types of scenarios, right? And I mean, we saw, luckily, it's confirmed that this is a habit of E1 because we went to Council Hall both times, right? Same landscape, same general idea, but a slightly different opener from both R7 as well as E1, which R7 took full advantage of. They didn't go for the wide swing, but they had somebody there watching just in case they wanted to go for the wide swing on the west. If I remember correctly, on the western side of that open field, and then it ended up devolving back into the backside. So they knew exactly how it was going to happen. And I think for E1 to be unpredictable at this stage with a lot of bad habits being identified by R7, it's going to take a little bit of work, right? They really have to make individual clutch plays of their own to kind of set the tone.
Yeah, and I think we also have to add on top of this as well, the draft that Movie Stars gave E1, that was criminal already. And for E1 to basically lose with that lineup, it's making me question a lot of things now coming into game number 3. You know, my confidence in E1, it was rock solid after that first match, but after match number 2, I'm looking at Movie Stars and I'm like, you've been keeping this from us this whole time? You've been hiding these strats? You've been hiding this gameplay? Oh man. So we are going to go for a brand new map for game number 3, and it is confirmed Nextera, Gideon.
Yep.
What challenges do Nextera bring to the table here for our teams?
Well, I would say that at the very least for Nextera, it's one of the few maps that I would say is as close to Bermuda as you can get, except for the Grav Labs. Everywhere else, usually it's pretty evenly 50-50. It's not lopsided one way or the other. It's just the Grav Labs is just a little annoying to deal with, right? I think if they are going to draft something a little bit more aggressive, something, especially if they're thinking about that A1 again, they would probably find a little bit more success, right? Because at the end of the day, we've noticed that at least for R7, they still move in that 3-in-1 formation. I don't know if they have a completely different play style for Nextera, but I think A1 is R7 going to be first pick. What's more? Interesting.
Okay, so this now puts a little bit of pressure, I believe, on E1. Because when Movie Stars were first pick, they were like, here, have the Oscar. And E1, they got the Oscar, and they didn't win that set with the Oscar. So I kind of wonder now for Movie Stars that they're like, okay, Oscar's not an issue for us, even though Vitten is going to be piloting the Oscar if it does get drafted. If I'm E1, do I fall for the trap again and take the Oscar? Or do you pivot and pick something else? Because now you've got new mind games where you've lost with the Oscar, but if you don't pick it, there's a good chance movie stars take it for themselves. And this is a team that would love to have an Oscar alongside the Tatsuya.
I think it really depends on what that band is going to be. If you see either a Zayn or a Cassie band coming up for the side of R7, then I feel like E1 kind of don't have much of a choice, right? Because being on second pick,
I think Cassie's going to be banned.
Probably. I think it would make a lot of sense if R7 doesn't. Oh, you know what? They're like, we do remember the Oscar. We do remember he's a problem.
It was an accident. We didn't mean to let Oscar down. I'm kidding. Okay. E1. What is the ban? What is the ban? Is it Zayn? Is it Cassie?
I think you get rid of the chrono. You look to give either Cassie or Zayn, and then you find your pairing on the opposite side. Oh.
Tatsuya. The respect ban?
Oh, okay.
Say respect. Okay, respect ban. Respect. Seriously, respect ban.
Always find my way back home.
Okay. We're just gonna take Coda first. Interesting. So R7 did a similar composition, right? But this is before they had to deal with the Zayn and Cassie on the opposite end. And it would make a lot of sense if E1 wants to go for that particular combination, because who cares if you know where we are? If you can't cut us down and put us on our knees, it kinda doesn't mean much.
So, okay, firstly, Coda. They now get a feel of what's going to be coming at them from E1, so Cassie, Zayn. What's the response to this? I do like the Chrono. I think Chrono is just really great defensively, especially against these rushing kind of lineups. But what's this next pick going to be? Like, what's the true... Are they going to go for disengage here? Are they going to go for damage? Oh man, what's... I would love to make a prediction here, but then again, movie stars have just been all over the place with their drafts as well.
Yeah, I think that they might go back into the Iris again. I think that Joker did a pretty okay job in general, and I think they need to be able to punish their opponents. They could. Oh,
Orion?
Really? Okay.
No. They ran. Did they run Orion?
No. I think you're thinking of the Fluxo match. Yeah, but yeah.
Okay. So taking a page out of the Fluxo handbook, and against A124.
Oh, okay. I thought after getting Cassie and Zayn, you're like, you could technically omit the A124, but at the same time, you are worried that maybe the A124 is going to be utilized against you. I would have liked to see movie star R7's third pick to be the A1, to be perfectly honest, because the Orion is more or less going to be your rusher, right? He's there to buy some time. You already have the Chrono anyway in case you have any other backliners to worry about, so kind of feels like you could have waited a little bit longer for that, and then finally the Iris at the very end.
Okay, so I'm trying to get a feel of this lineup so far. I'm not sure if I'm happy with this lineup coming out from E1. Okay, they have a way to flank, they have a disengage and an engage with the A124. They have their frontliners in that Cassie Zayn, and technically Cassie can also pair it with the Santino if Santino pushes far enough. Whereas for movie stars, they've got a sniper. Blue walls are not going to mean too much, or at least they won't be as safe. For E1, I love the Coda pick. I think Coda's always very solid, so I'm not going to complain about Coda. Chrono's great. I think the Orion is sort of the X factor for me right now. I'm not sure if I like it. Like, yes, you have the extra sustain, the extra survivability. It's Della playing it though. Is Della enough to make me to convince me that Orion's going to be a great pick? I have mixed feelings, I think.
Yeah, I have some mixed feelings as well, but I think it suits Della because he's always the second person to get in the middle of the conflict, and he's the one who gets knocked down before the entry fighter in the first place. So I feel like it makes a lot of sense for him to just be like, if they're going to be looking at the second guy walking in through that door, I might as well go invulnerable, right? Save myself the effort, save myself the heartbreak. But the A124 is going to be a huge problem for every character here for movie star R7. Even if you're using it against just one person, you get value, right? Chrono can't protect himself without his active abilities, so he goes for Orion. Iris and Coda kind of depend on Chrono to sustain through these bouts, right? If they do get put in a position of trouble.
Now, here's the thing, though. There is another thing I also completely forgot to mention. It's been a 9 on the A124. So this A124 is going to be in these fights alongside the Zayn and Cassie. So I'm kind of actually liking that. because we've seen the way that Vitten plays, right? Vitten really can get in there, and he's very, very precise with his fragging. So I think I like that. You know, maybe I'm actually leaning towards E1 at the moment, just because of Vitten's choice of playing that A124. Again, it also depends on his execution. If he's able to land his skills, then sure, I think it could absolutely work. But at the same time, we're also dealing with movie stars. Movie stars, you can tell last game, they are ready to deal with the A124. They're never really in a position where they let their entire team get caught up by the A124. So it's going to be a player thing. If Vitten 9 can show us the true potential of an A124 in the front lines.
I totally agree, but I also think there's a large part of it is whether they're going to get some decent map RNG. Because keep in mind, this Coda plus Iris on the opposite end. Those long angles, if you're playing with blue walls, you are not safe at all. And yes, Cassie has electrotherapy, but that's not going to compensate if you get headshot randomly, get put on your knees. So it's a bit of a push and pull. We'll see how this is going to play out. I'm more interested in how E1 is going to not only utilize the A124, but more importantly, to switch up the strategy, right? Because right now, R7 is the one with the advantage walking into Nextera.
Yeah, I hope E1 changes things up, because if they don't, I think we might just get a complete sweep by R7.
Let's jump right into it then. Let's find out if this sweep is going to be enough. Almost immediately, we kick things off here in the Grav Labs. Gotta get these ones out of the way. It's pistol round, okay? It's pistol round. Let's not get too crazy about it. Everybody loves a good pistol round, but I think it's a little unfortunate for especially E1, because they probably would have preferred a completely separate map. Well, sorry, not E1, R7 in this case. At least E1 has some sustainability with the Cassie. They have ways to start harassing, and more importantly, with that mannequin, you never know who's going to show up in your back line.
Yeah. So Pal did go for a bit of a scout earlier on, but did decide to back up and meet back with his team. So E1 going to go back for this little very huggy playstyle, very grouped up. Pal going to try and meet up with his team, but he is taking a little bit of damage there from some of these pot shots coming in from R7, but he will successfully regroup. So we're now back to square one for both of these teams. But I have to say, pretty interesting decision here for the teams. We do have R7 going for a bit of a wide split, whereas for E1, they are really hugging each other tight as a team. They don't want to lose anybody and not be in a position to be able to pick them up. The circle is starting to close on in those, so players on the high ground, they're going to have to jump down, and look at that, R7 losing both Haxes and Games King right off the bat.
And the A1 as well. This should secure the round, no problem. No active abilities to protect yourself, nothing to worry about. All four of their members still alive as Leon, Pao, and Vitten 9 are going to finish up the rest. A good, decisive call from E1, because they know they have no surveillance. What are they going to do? Track us across the map? They have to physically look at us dead in the eyes before we know where we are. So we can really use that to our advantage. And I think that even for R7, there are moments of time where it's like, man, at any point, they could just peek out and take a free pot shot. And now that we're out of the Grav Labs, finally, there's a little bit more open area to utilize around the center for Joker's Iris to get some value against these glue walls. But notice that a lot of these smokes have been deployed towards that southern side, towards the airdrop.
Yeah, so a little bit of priority here to try and pick up the airdrop. I think both teams are starting to realize the importance of that. And whoa, that was a delicious shot. And all of a sudden, R7, everybody having to back up and use their medkits to heal back up. But again, it's still there, and R7, they're going to make the call first, sending in both Games King and Della. E1, though, wanting to try and contest this themselves, but they're in such an awkward spot that it's not really safe for them to be able to go for a full push. Power, they're going to go back to his original position. Games King and Leon, he's there, he's hanging on, he's thinking about it. Oh no, but Power and Vitten on the side have been caught, and Games King's going to be the one to take out both Vitten and Power. Haxus picks up Power, leaving E1, but just Leon and Vitten XP as their last two remaining players.
That was an unacceptable flank. How did they let him sneak so far around? I mean, this round should be hands down going into R7's favor. Again, whipping out that side, Leon already finds one. Does he find a second one? No, he does not, but he at least is able to bring Games King to his his knees. Man, that was an unacceptable flank. Look at how this is played out, right? Notice on the southern side, instantaneously, Joker has got a free way with the help of Della on the opposite end to walk up upon their opponents as they take the engagement. I don't know how E1 dropped the ball like that. Usually, they're really good at maintaining the line of scrimmage.
I wonder if they kind of tunnel visioned in trying to be able to get the drop themselves, that they didn't realize R7 didn't even want to go and prioritize the drop at all. Because originally there was some emphasis, right? Like R7 was like, okay, we really want to stick around the drop. But then all of a sudden they decided, okay, instead we're going to go and fight. Whereas for E1, it kind of felt like they didn't realize until it was too late. And all of a sudden, Cassie is down on the ground. That's going to be the sustain out of the picture. And also the A124 Vixen going to be taken out. R7 mean business in our third match of the day.
Dang, that's kind of wild. That's kind of wild. One of the few times where that team booster with movement speed kind of mattered there. He was able to cross on over significantly faster, catching him as he is walking past the hook lines. Really unfortunate situation and a great call coming in from Games King. I think he noticed something in the builds or something like that. He knew he could get there first.
Man, that was crazy. And now all of a sudden, we have R7 leading the round 2-1. Yes, it's just a significant 1 point lead, insignificant 1 point lead. But with how things have gone so far for R7, to see them make this comeback, and it's a significant one where they are convincingly winning these rounds, it makes you wonder, E1, have they lost that special sauce? Have they lost the recipe to victory that they were able to capitalize on? And basically the first half of this set, Vixen is trying to push on forward for his team. So far not getting the angles, but looks like Leon going to be the one to be caught out. Gameskin taking quite a bit of damage, but will successfully back one up, and his teammates are going to come in and take the damage instead. Leon is gone. Joker from the windowsill trying to catch somebody, but the angle's not working in his favor. There goes Vixen. Both of them leaving Pau all by himself on the Santino against a full roster of very angry Movistar players.
Oh man, they figured them out. They are working like clockwork right now. As the fight ends up breaking up that front line, especially when Leon gets caught out like this, Games King able to utilize that chrono, making sure that he can actually buy a perfect amount of time for the rest of the team to go in. And Della, once again, he doesn't even have to use his active skill card, but he continuously finds these angles because he knows who are the next set of members of E1 who actually want to go for the peak. Now, right now, E1, they've got to lock in on their fundamentals, right? They've been out. Unfortunately, some maps, sure, RNG, they beat you to the gun. That's fine. That happens every once in a while. But now for a map like this, where it's very 50-50, evenly placed on either side, they cannot afford to be taking free shots like this.
Oh no, and with Vixen XP taking so much damage just going up the hill, I think the cyber airdrop is going to go in favor of R7 unless they can somehow contest this. Della's right next to it, the team is there. Leo going to push forward for the team. Vixen is going to be there, both of the Vixens. Unfortunately, again, Vixen XP taking so much damage, having to back out and not being able to provide support for the team. But Della and Leo both on the ground, both teams trading one player apiece. Vixen 9 still looking for more. Leo is gone, Della's still around though, so R7 can still go for the pickup if they're quick enough about it. But again, oh no, E1, everybody is hitting the ground.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Pau, he's been chased by Joker this entire time. He's not been able to find line of sight. He's going to try and look for a trade somewhere, because here comes Games King, who turns the corner and blows him right out of the water. Look how fast he is. Oh my god.
It's crazy. But, okay, there is one shining light, I suppose, for E1. They did get the cyber airdrop. But I guess what we have to sort of ask ourselves now, Gideon, is was it worth it? Because you are so far behind. You had to commit so much to get that cyber airdrop. And you're behind by 3 wins. You lose 2 more rounds, that's it. Can E1 pull off that comeback that R7 so successfully pulled off in Game 2?
We'll see, because if they're able to get the secondary cyber airdrop, then they're going to be significantly ahead in economy. But that's only going to show up in round 7. For now, E1, they just need to bide the tide, right? Even if they give this round over to R7, the following round becomes crucial. Ideally, they want to make sure that they have a little bit of buffer, a little bit of wiggle room, in a matter of fact, to have. But it's all going to depend on whether PAL7 is able to find the initial headshot, right? These picks have been huge against Game 1 again. Disgusting shots from this sawed-off, making sure that he is blowing off heads, not giving them a chance to deal with the second pump. And Joker, he's thinking about peeking here. They know that they're inside the compound, but they don't want to breach in, knowing that they have a man advantage.
Oh, look at that. Hacks going up at the top. Bitter XP, though, has been shot down by Joker. Another player down on the side of E1. And all of a sudden, E1 are scrambling to try and get this game back. But it's over. It's going to be 5 points on the side of Movistar's R7. And all of a sudden, it's going to be match point from here on out. E7. If they don't pull off a E1, if they don't pull off an R7 for the next 5 games, it's over.
It's super dangerous, right? Because look at the weaponry, look at the gear value that R7 is looking to close this out. They're investing a good chunk of their economy to make sure that they have everything they need to take out E1 here and now, after everything that happened in map number 1. And immediately, the AWNs connect on each other. Della as well as Leon taking so much damage, but Leon has taken too much. The M5 making connections to the face. And wait, hold on. A turnaround, Vinin XP finds 2 initially. Della gets the initial trade, and Vinin XP takes out Hacks in the back. Now, Della quickly goes invulnerable. Leon, can he find a shot here? No, he does not. Della is going to try. He takes him out. And there you have it. R7 closes out map number 3. You thought they were out? Nah. Games King pulled it together, and everybody else said, we can't let this kid do it all by himself. Well done, as R7 takes it 2-1, the final score.
That was insane coming up from Movistar. It's almost like they decided they wanted to play this round on hard mode, and they said, okay, we're going to handicap ourselves with 1 game, and we're going to be able to see if we can make that comeback happen. E1, they looked brilliant during the first half of this set. It was just something happened halfway through. Something clicked on the side of Movistars, and from then on, E1 lost the plot. They were kicked out of the driver's seat, put into the boot, and it was over. R7 just really coming back and showing us that, yes, okay, it doesn't matter if you have a terrible round 1, a terrible round 2, it's not over until it's over. And they probably did it in one of the most dramatic ways that they possibly could have in a series of Clash Squad. So congratulations to Movistars for hanging on and being able to clutch out a win in their set. They will move on into their upper bracket, whereas unfortunately for E1, as great as they are, they will have to fight for their life in the O1 bracket, which is unfortunate, but we can only have 1 winner for each set. And in this case, it was Movistars to claim the victory in this best of 3.
They tried to shake him down, I'm not going to lie. And R7, at the very end there, finally got some flesh. The pound of flesh that they were due after map number 1. Because E1 really was trying to condition them very well, right? We're going to contest for the airdrop every single time. We're putting up a decent amount of resistance. We know that you don't have any scanners, and unfortunately by game 2 they got figured out. And Joker, every single time, making sure that the flank is clean, that the flank is safe, and with the enhanced hammer as well, once you get the ball rolling, you could snowball so far out of control.
They got the ball rolling so quick in that particular set, so it paid off for them so nicely. I think R7, if they don't celebrate even a little bit, they should consider doing that, because they did an amazing job in that best of 3. They do need to, however, get ready for their next game, because I do believe they're also playing another game today. So keen to see how Movistars go up against their next opponent. And I guess the question as well is, who are they going to get? Because I don't believe we know who's going to play who yet, right? We have the element of RNG going to be raffling who plays who in that upper bracket. But at least we know 2 teams who our top two teams are in the upper bracket and who are our other two teams in the lower bracket. We still have our preliminary matches to go though, folks, so don't worry. We've still got plenty of free fire coming your way. We've locked in 2 games. We've got 4 more to go. But for our second set, Movistar's R7, they win the set 2-1 against E1 in what could have been a 2-0 victory for E1 if they were able to just clutch it for Kalahari in game number 2.
They really tipped the scales here in Nextera. Really thought, again, Kalahari was already pretty neck and neck between the two teams, and quite the comeback, in a matter of fact, in Kalahari itself. But with that being said, though, I can only imagine what our Movistar R7 feels like right now, so I'm gonna give it to the professionals, our hosts, up on stage to have a chit-chat with them for the winner's interview. Let's give it on over to our hosts.
Thank you, casters. And there you have it. Survivors Movistar R7 won this Clash Squad round. Congratulations. We're here with Della and, of course, our beloved translator. Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so let's jump straight into our conversation today. Speaking of your win, how does it feel to finally be able to step out of Brazil's shadow? And can I ask you, what exactly motivated you on this 2-1 comeback?
Al final de todo salieron de la sombra de Brasil. ¿Cómo se siente como región y tener este comeback?
Y yo creo que es algo que estábamos buscando. Durante 3 años estuvimos muy mal en LATAM y aún así no nos rendimos y seguimos dando lo mejor de nosotros.
There was something we were just working on. We've been 3 years working, just trying to get out of the shadow, and now we're getting out of it.
Ooh, such a sweet revenge indeed, Yunso.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so we always have something behind, like a shadow or the brightness in front of that, right? So let's talk about our first match. What was you lost the first match earlier, so what happened? Was it due to the ban pick or anything else, like mentality or something like that?
Perdieron el primer partido, el primer enfrentamiento. ¿Qué pasó ahí? ¿Fue algo de mentalidad? ¿Fue algo de pick and bans? ¿Cómo lo podrías describir?
Bueno, la primera partida elegimos medio malas habilidades, digamos, porque nuestro modo de juego es rushear y con las habilidades que elegimos eran más de aguante y eso no nos favoreció mucho. Ya la siguiente partida sí elegimos mejores habilidades y pudimos adaptarnos mejor.
Okay, so the first match was much more a pick and ban mistake. They are actually more of a rusher team that go forward, and the different skills they had weren't actually helping them to reach that. So that's what happened the first match.
Understand.
So the drafts, ban and pick are always tricky for everyone. Okay, last question. So we're going to see how the home nation's going to play on the next round. RRQ are going against IAG. Personally, which team do you think will make it through?
¿Qué equipos crees que pueden llegar a la final?
Yo creo que el equipo que puede llegar a la final va a ser Fluxo y puede ser también AG Global.
Okay. He thinks the team making to finals is going to be Fluxo and AG.
Oh, okay. So he thinks that AG is going to beat RRQ in the next round?
¿Pensás que AG va a vencer RRQ?
Sí, la verdad que sí.
He's completely sure about it.
Oh my God, that hurts me. Okay, thank you so much for having this interview with us, and congratulations once again. Now let's go back to the casters, shall we? Take it away, casters.
Some pretty strong words there, and I think you very understandably so, really involved in the international scene of Clash Squad, but at least we got some answers about what happened in game number 1, right? They could have closed the distance, they had a bit of a drafting problem there, they fixed it up coming into map number 2, and arguably I would say that the slight adjustments really helped them kind of set the groundwork.
It set the tone for the team as well, because I think they learned a very important lesson from that game number 1. Because sometimes you have to make big mistakes to make, or at least learn the biggest lessons. So I'm glad for Movistars, I'm glad this team is still sticking around. I did have my eye on them, so keen to see what's going to happen for them moving forward. But here is the updated bracket for our first 2 matches, ladies and gentlemen. So we've had a 2-0 set for game number 1 between Foxo and GOW. just finished game number 2 between Movistars R7 and E1, and as you can see, a 2-1 scoreline in favor of Movistars. We are going to be jumping into our next set in just a second here, though, which is going to be a very exciting one. It's going to be RRQ Kazu going up against All Gamers Global, and oh my gosh, I know a lot of our fans from Southeast Asia are very excited for this set, especially our Indonesian spectators who are in the venue, because as you all know, we are currently in Jakarta for the main event, and yeah, we're gonna have a lot of Indonesian fans cheering for RRQ. I expect to hear them from the casters booth.
Oh yeah, I mean the fan base coming out from RRQ is already insane, whether it's for Kazu specifically or whether it's for their other game titles, because you can always hear them in the arena, especially when it's on home soil. But this game, really interesting. We got to see pretty much the length and the breadth of both R7 as well as E1. E1 clearly lacking in the mechanical skill when it comes down to the full rush, as we saw in these very final rounds where it mattered the most, right? They just needed to connect 1 or 2 more shots to really make it work, and unfortunately for them, R7 just a little bit better in that department. So if they could have maintained their, I wouldn't say dominance, but at least their conditioning from game 1 coming into game number 2, I think it would have worked out for them if they just closed it out there and then. 2 rounds away, that's all they needed.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we are in a really high pressure situation here for all of our teams, because we are, this is it. This is the pinnacle of Free Fire. This is what you play for. So, I mean, for E1, you know, things looked great, but sometimes you kind of just go off the rails, and if you're not able to make adjustments in time, and we're asking for adjustments within the span of a best of 3 set, that is a very short period of time. Sometimes you're just not going to make that deadline. And in the case of Movistars R7, they made their deadline, even after what seemed to almost appear to be a complete and utter failure. I think that's probably the best description of what we potentially could have seen from Movistars if they weren't able to make those adjustments in time. So we're going to be seeing a lot more of these 2 teams. They're not out yet, but for E1, they can't afford to lose any of their matches moving forward. But we are going to be getting ready for our next game. So folks, don't go anywhere. Game 3 is coming up soon. But before that though, we're going to go for a quick break. We'll see you all after this.
Twelve teams continue their run in the FFWS. It's time to recap a day 3 full of eliminations, outplays, and booyahs.
Striking from the other side, the 2 Indonesian squads working together, annihilating PE.
EVOS Divine speedrun 16 eliminations in Game 1, finishing second before falling to their Indonesian rivals, RRQ Kazu, in a final one-on-one shootout.
About to be annihilated by their brothers RRQ, Maal BSK in hand pressure onto Russia, forced to pull out the glue wall.
A brutal backstab as RRQ Kazu finishes off EVOS Divine, eliminated by their allies from the first match in just 4 minutes into Game 2.
Right now, GOW playing from the low ground can only see RRQ's side. So if PE just holds out, they will win this war of attrition.
A taste of their own medicine as they get. Earlier we saw 2 Indonesian squads gang up on 1 Vietnamese team, and now 2 Vietnamese squads gang up against 1 Indonesian team.
History rewrite itself as PE Sports and GOW team up to eliminate RRQ Kazu. An Uno reverse card from Vietnam.
I mean, the man just tossed 1 in and got 3 for the price of 1. What a play by Nero, and what a disaster yet again for putting out your 2-time world champions.
An out of this world performance from PE Sports with a booyah and breaking the current elimination record with 21 elims. PE Sports rack up a massive 33 points in Game 3. Buriram has finally woken up. An all-star performance from Wasana in Game 4 leads the Thai squad to a booyah with 32 points. Match 6 peaked when the final safe zone started shrinking, with 8 teams still fighting for survival. Facing a difficult position, Team Solid was the last team standing, getting the last booyah of Week 1. What an epic conclusion to Week 1! From a 33 points performance to 8 teams battling it out in the final safe zone, Day 3 have it all! What a day! Whew. See you on Week 2 of the FFWS Global Final 2025. This week, the battlefield was decided in a heartbeat. Champions isn't just about firepower, it's about seizing the moment. Here are your highlights of Week 1. Fluxo stormed through Heavy's defenses with Glue Wall Melter, Freeze Grenade, and eliminated Heavy.
Bob's FD7 backing away. Allen has got the grenade launcher, just needs a good pop here.
Boom! WAG trapped Evos in a room of death, and X-Bor's perfectly timed M79 blast erased them in an instant. Dudes turned RRQ's house into a horror show for AG, leading a perfectly coordinated assault that ended with his deadly triple kill. Heavy snuffed out E1's fire as Allen's perfectly timed M79 blast wiped them out in one calculated strike. Fluxo deemed Hotshot unworthy, raining Hellfire with the new Boltmaker to chip away their health and secure a swift team wipe. Here is how the standings look. After another unforgettable Week 1 of FFWS 2025, the race for the crown only grows fiercer. Salute the teams, for they are the architects of history. And next week, new legends awaits.
Now first, I don't burn out. Pressure starts sick of me now. I can never go reverse now. But I'ma spin it back, 8 jump. From Nada to the crowd, when they had base jump. I'ma hit the finish line no matter what. They front, first place, you a runner up, I'm none but the red and the blues, going rules. It's 10 out of 10, 11, I don't snooze. I pursue, don't push it, put me in game that I don't lose. I stay cool, told you only way is up, I don't go reverse.
I feel like the more we go into Clash Squad, the more unpredictable it gets. What do you think?
Exactly. It's like everyone is a plot twist. You blink and someone is already clutching 1v3.
But that's exactly what makes the mode so much fun, right? It's fast, it's fierce, and it's definitely unforgiving.
Speaking of fierce, it's going to be a Southeast Asian showdown.
That's right! It's RRQ Kazu from Indonesia, the host nation taking on All Gamers Global from Thailand.
RRQ placed second so far in the Battle Royale overall standing. The home favorites who have already proven they can rise to the top.
But here's the twist. In both Seaspring and Seafall, RRQ struggled in Clash Squad Swiss stage.
On the other hand, All Gamers Global are entering this with confidence. They went 3-0 in Seafall Swiss stage, showing how clean and calculated they can be.
Pressure versus precision. The host nation's pride against Thailand's composure.
And now, let's bring out the team!
Disciplined, determined, and ready to make a statement. With the young sniper Baal 77, quick on the scope and calm under pressure. Alongside Duts, Ikal, and Abai, they're aiming to prove they can win on every front. Bangkitlah Rajaku! RRQ Kazu!
shooters, cool and clinical. Do, burst, Cypher, and Team S are a squad that thrives on timing, angles, and deadly coordination. They have dominated before, and they're looking to do it again here. This is All Gamers Global!
That's the spirit. A fist bump between both squads, a gesture of unity before they turn into rivals.
Get ready! It is time to crush doubts, burn bright, and let this Clash Squad begin!
Two Southeast Asian teams, both chasing momentum, both refusing to back down.
They have battled through the highs and lows of the Swiss stage, and now it is time to go head to head.
Now, this is match 3 of the Clash Squad Swiss stage. Every round counts and every decision matters.
Caster, the stage is yours. Bring us some action!
Welcome back to the Caster's Desk, folks. And yes, this is going to be a Asia powerhouse matchup. And it's a bit of a hard one for me because I want both teams to make it through. Unfortunately, only one of them will make it through. And they represent two completely different things within the Free Fire ecosystem. Let's talk RRQ very quickly. This is our Indonesian representative for Clash Squad, the only Indonesian representative. So they're going to have a lot of support within the event itself. And they're kind of holding the hopes and dreams of the Indonesian region, so they have a lot of pressure on their shoulders already. But on the other end, we have All Gamers Global, and they were essentially the champions for the fall edition for Clash Squad. So I want both teams to make it through. I know All Gamers, they are very fun to watch, but at the same time, I've also been a bit of an RRQ fangirl. I don't want to say up until recently. I think it's just recently I don't know if I'm cursing them, so that's probably why I'm supporting the team openly.
Hey, I don't know. After EWC, it could be anything. Anything could happen, right? If they got a second place finish there on Battle Royale, who's to say that they can't win on an international for CS?
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of leave it to RRQ to prove to me and to prove to us that they still have that spark. The only thing is, and this is a pretty public point of view, I suppose, for RRQ. Unfortunately, between the two Indonesian teams at global finals this year, between them and EVOS have generally done better in Clash Squad. RRQ, I feel, has really struggled to really get their foothold in the game mode, and a lot of their issues stem from their, at the moment, over-reliance on Ma'al to be the carry for the team. Now, here's the issue. Their opponent actually plays almost identical to RRQ, but they play optimally. So it's kind of funny. If RRQ can somehow copy All Gamers Global's playstyle, that actually patches up almost all of their issues in the game mode. But the reason why they can't do that at the moment is, unfortunately, the rest of the team is kind of struggling to be able to find that optimal style. Like, they've really struggled in being able to perfectly execute that frontliner, that rusher, to be able to provide the follow-up for Ma'al, essentially, because let me think of a situation. I think during the fall edition for Clash Squad, Ma'al just kept getting sniped every single time. And no matter how much support RRQ provided to Ma'al, he fell every single time. So to have your star player be eliminated essentially first for every round, that's a death sentence for your team. So Ma'al, unfortunately, is not being able to be protected enough to really do his job. And at the same time, they haven't been able to give him the opportunity to snipe because he's either being taken out or no one's providing him those openings to do his job. So there's a lot of things that I see at the moment wrong with RRQ, but at the same time, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. They've had time to now practice the game mode. They've had time to practice with all of the characters and to figure out the synergy between all the actives, and also learning about all these other combos other teams are playing. Maybe RRQ can beat AG Global. If they can, that's it. You know, you changed your mind because you would have beaten these champions before. And RRQ are first pick. So I think it's the world basically telling them, this is your shot. You shoot your shot. You have to beat AG Global.
And I think there's like a lot of good arguments that are being made here. It's the way that I see RRQ Kazu winning is either Maal has the hottest day ever, or other teammates start to step up. I'm thinking about dudes. I'm thinking about specifically Abe as well, to actually really be in that position to find multi-frags within the game. And I think that's going to be the big difference maker, even when we're talking about AG Global. Yes, this is a situation. It is a civil war, but it's more towards a Padawan and a Jedi, the apprentice and the master here of this particular playstyle. As we head into the ban picks, let's see what they're going to do, because RRQ Kazu has decided we're getting rid of the chrono. Everybody loves it. Let's make it a little harder.
Okay, to ban the chrono, it means you struggle to play against it. And also RRQ have they do not want to play chrono themselves, so but they're leaving so many other characters in the pool though. Oscar's going to be available unless that's banned out. Cassie is available. Zane will be available. I think AG, they're trying to decide, okay, what can we let through? What can we afford to be first picked by RRQ? And time has run out. We haven't seen a ban yet though, so we might be in for a bit of a remake here, folks. Bear with us as we sort of figure out what's kind of happening here with AG Global. Yeah, okay, it does look like we are going for a remake. We do apologize for that, folks. Just a small technical hiccup, it seems, but we will be starting the draft in just a second. So I'm just going to assume the chrono is a confirmed ban. I don't think that's going to change at all.
Yep, I think they're going to stick to it overall. Well, luckily our marshals and our technicians are already there on site just to kind of settle that as soon as possible. But I think that the big question for AG Global is whether or not they're going to disrupt the duo of the Zane alongside with the Cassie, or whether they're just going to say, you know what, are we willing to give up the Oscar just to get this duo support combo? Because at the end of the day, they're not really the team that gets into your face. They are hoping to find that man advantage if Do lands that headshot.
Yeah, Do is a highlight player that I kind of want to mention here. Do has done an amazing job as a sniper for AG Global, and I want to highlight that a lot of it has come down to his personal mechanical skill as a player. The reason why I'm going to bring this up is because there were a couple games where Do actually played A124. And in a lot of cases, you'd be thinking, like, why did you want your sniper to play A124? He knows he is perfectly capable of being able to reliably dish out damage on his own, and he was there to provide support for his team wherever he could. Now, a lot of other teams, they do like to throw their snipers on Clue, on Coda, as they also can provide some sort of utility for the team. But in the case of his team, I think they were already running a Coda on their lineup, and they decided to opt for the A124 and throw Do on it because they knew, like, okay, you can either throw A124 in that mid to front lines, or we can say, okay, Do, we trust you to be able to keep yourself safe as the A124 and let the rest of the team do their job. And he was unstoppable as the A124 sniper. So he's, in my honest opinion, he's one of my favorites, if not my favorite sniper right now, coming into Clash Squad from Southeast Asia, just because of how versatile he is in terms of what he's capable of playing.
He is a namestay for sure. Do definitely has been passed around in Southeast Asia as one of the best snipers for the longest of times, and I think now with a pretty good matchup into Maal, who's considered one of the best snipers in Indonesia, we'll see how this is going to play out, because Steffi, they decided, you know what, Oscar, the duo supports that work well together, let's just open up this draft entirely. We want to have throwables active. We'll see what that's going to mean for AG Global, because it's going to be an easy Oscar secure for RRQ Kazu.
Okay, I was kind of wondering if RRQ, you know, like, what are your options? Ignis?
I can always find my way.
No, Cassie. Wow. Okay, I have to say, I was not expecting this drafting order coming out from AG, so I guess they're keeping their options open, but at the same time, these are great picks. So you've confirmed that you've got you've got Coda to provide the vision for your team, and now you also have Ignis that's going to be able to provide not only a way for your team to push into RRQ Kazu, but also be able to hinder RRQ Kazu if they decide to rush into you themselves, which that is the game plan. You've got Oscar and Tatsuya supported by a Cassie, so I'm expecting RRQ to run head first.
Yeah.
AG.
Huh.
And Santino.
I feel like I feel like RRQ Kazu at this point of time, they could have taken the standardized picks, but instead they wanted the Tatsuya. It feels like maybe this is a separate style of completely different style even, and a denial pick coming up from All Gamers Global with the clue on top of it all. Very interesting way to look at the draft from All Gamers Global.
Oh, are they trying to pigeonhole Ma'al into a homer?
Or like there's no point going for an A1 at this point unless you just want to specifically deal with the Santino, because everybody else gets instant value as soon as you throw it out.
Yeah, I mean Ma'al doesn't even play A1-2, and the fact if you go for A1-2, that means you don't even have your dedicated scouting character. Iris, they're going in blind.
I want to know all.
They are going in blind. They're going to rely on utilities to provide them that vision. I have concerns, Gideon. We already saw earlier today how devastating it can be to run a lineup without your classic vision providing character. And I mean, I'm outside thoughts. We're not going to externalize these thoughts yet.
Well, I think, that's part of the job. And I think that, especially for All Gamers Global, it's interesting because this is before the changes where you can actually purchase active skill cards like the Time Turner. And I think maybe All Gamers Global is taking a very interesting approach of saying, you know what? Whatever we need, we can technically buy the extra utility. All we need to do is make sure that we kind of get a numbers advantage, and then everything else will go a lot smoother. Because I was thinking maybe All Gamers Global wanted to lean back into like a Dimitri composition that they've shown up once or twice, but knowing RRQ Kazu, the fact that they took Oscar and Cassie and then followed it up with a Tatsuya, even though All Gamers Global kind of already had the idea of Santino ready to go, I'm surprised because that kind of gives away what RRQ Kazu was going to do, right? Even if they didn't have the scanner, that's going to be totally fine, but it doesn't mean they're completely dead in the water. They can close distances extremely quickly, but they can't slow down fights. There has to be a lot of individual plays made by RRQ Kazu to ensure that this composition works. And it's actually paired up very well against All Gamers Global, because if All Gamers Global lose the pistol round and then the following 2 rounds, I'm expecting a snowball coming in from RRQ Kazu very quickly until about roughly round 5.
No, I can see that happening, especially with what kind of formation we're probably going to be seeing from AG as well, because if you look at what they're running, this is not a lineup that wants to be grouped up together. This is actually a lineup where I expect all 4 players, or maybe they go for like a 1-2-1 formation. They want to be split. And this is going up against a lineup that wants to basically hug each other, aside from maybe Ma'al, who wants to be, out and about. But, okay, here's the thing. Santino is due solution for irises. He has used this in the past, and he basically wins this matchup every single time. So I hope RRQ are prepared to provide that support that Ma'al needs, because they already know this is one of the issues with their lineup. But I'm worried that they're not going to be prepared for the fact that Dew is going to be on that Santino.
And not to mention that, again, Dew can call audibles in for the rest of his team to give him that extra bit of information, right? Oh, pop the clue right now. Maybe I can sneak a mannequin into the back line. Use the coda if we're in the middle of a fight, right? He doesn't necessarily need to walk in blind, send the mannequin backwards, and put his body on the line to get information. He can let the rest of his team do that. He just needs to be the executor at the very end of the day. So it's a really interesting approach. One of the few times that we actually see not only a denial pick, but a way to actually enable their main sniper Dew, which is why we're seeing, again, both sides. It's Iris versus Santino here, and everybody else has to make their own individual plays. I want to see whether or not other members of AG Global is going to step up in this case, because again, they have to withhold everybody else. They have to make sure that they don't get a lot of value out of Tatsuya, and the Oscar, even more dangerous, can just plow through their glue walls.
Yep. I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup to see how AG play with this very awkward lineup into something that I would even consider maybe, I wouldn't say meta, but it is definitely more normal coming out from RRQ. But if there's a team that's going to pull off a very unorthodox strat, it's AG. I believe this team is one of the pioneers within the Southeast Asia region to pioneer very unconventional picks and lineups, and especially with the fact that they did decide to go for this, I want to call it the CCTV strat. This could really work in their favor with what it's capable of providing to the team altogether. But we'll have to see. We've got to let the guns do the talking. The players show us that they're capable of being able to pull off their lineups. RRQ, as much as I love AG, my eyes are on RRQ at the moment. I need to see if this team can break through and essentially beat their demons to beat AG, because if they don't fix their problems within the next 1 to 2 rounds, I dare say it'll be a 2-0.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, right? And I think that this pistol round has the most amount of weight on it. It could go either side as we start heading on into this game. It's RRQ versus AG Global in this best of 3 game number 1. We're going to kick things off almost straight away here. Let's see what the opener is going to be, right? Most teams, as we expect, should be looking to actually hold on to the middle ground as soon as possible. I do see a couple of sawed-offs being purchased for the side of RRQ. Not entirely sure. It looks like Dio, of course, is going to have a scope on his pistol. No surprises there. Same goes for Maal. But it's that 1v1 shoot-off, which I'm really interested, because this is the most honest way of doing it.
Yeah, and I have to add this on top as well, right? Maal is on the Iris. His arch nemesis is Team SR. He is basically going to be revealing the sniper, and already right off the bat, Carl taken out by Du from the distance. Oh my gosh, the snipes are already starting to kick in. Du trying to go for another one there. Abe, they're going to be the next one to be caught, but this time by Cypher in the front lines. And Maal, he's been spotted. Du, but he loses the 1v1. Oh, bit of a devastating move there, but doesn't really matter with 2 players down. You still have 3 players on the side of AG ready to take out the rest of the RRQ roster, and the poor RRQ, they're all pinned towards the edge of the map. Essentially, AG, they're waiting in the wings to just eat them up as they come in.
When you pay too much attention towards Du's side, that's when AG Global quickly utilize their information. And now they don't even have to use the quota or the clue at this point. They're waiting for Barros to actually get in there. First contact already made. Boots instantly goes down with the help of Cypher, and Cypher closes it out nice and easy. And that's what's dangerous about AG. They want that man advantage, and Du is that guy who just somehow finds it every single time.
Yeah, and even if you get rid of Du, you gotta deal with Cypher. I did forget to mention, Cypher is a monster on his own as well. He has been quite well known on his chrono during the fall season, especially if they do get access to the Cassie as well. Cypher's chrono is nasty. And now that you have Cypher on the Coda, he's able to provide vision for himself, so he can actually safely execute his own little assassination missions if necessary, if he's not providing vision for Du, for example. Going into round number 2, though, this one could be a bit of an interesting one. Maal already in position, but look who is over there as well. We've got Cypher actually hunting for Maal, and again, we already see, right, the pressure on Maal is incredible, and he's already on the ground. Yes, okay, you might have caught the clue, but the sniper is going down on the side of RRQ, and Egal's the next one to follow. Barros is the one to take him out. They do pick up Maal, but he is so slow. All it takes is one bullet to scrape by his cheek to take him out. Cypher's down, and now it's all up to Du. The sniper, the Santino, can he finish off the last 2 players on the side of RRQ?
Oh, that was quite the mistake. Quite the mistake there. They forgot about the Iris, right? Thinking that the glue wall was going to protect them, but now they're going to go for the all-in. So far, at least Verduzzi was able to find his 1-for-1. Tries to go the turnaround, but it's too late. Abe cuts him right in half. half. Beautifully done coming in from RRQ side. And honestly, a really great adaptation. I have to admit that AG, they could have gotten this round if they just remembered that Iris was still available and they weren't 100% sure where Ma'al was coming from. And as soon as that first shot came out, he thought, you know what, I'm just going to quickly hug this side of the glue wall. And once the Iris popped, it was a little too late, because if he got that revive down, ooh, it would have been a landslide victory for AG.
Yeah, I 100% agree. But I am glad for RQ though, showing signs of life, that they're not going to just be bested by AG. It doesn't matter if you are a seasoned champion. This is a clean slate for everybody involved. And so much on the table, so much on the line for RRQ to prove that they are one of the best teams within the Southeast Asia region. Now already Ekal has been caught on the ground next to Barros, and Cypher catching a Dutz as well. And Abe, next one to follow. I mean, Ma'al's fine, but against a full roster, this is an uphill battle for a singular man. And I mean, there's really not much you can do if you're Ma'al. You're just going to play Ring Around the Rosy. Hope you can maybe get a couple of heads before you go down. Finish him off, and he will grab him. He gets it. Oh, clean up there for AG.
Man, the crosshair placement coming in from Cypher. I really love the fact that at least in CS, the crosshairs are a lot more accurate in terms of their placement compared to BR, where things are hella chaotic. But look at this right here. Bang! With the swipe and the sweep, pre-firing it, that much confidence. My only problem in that round was Dude sleeping at the wheel. He got shot in the back by Cypher initially. He does know that Ma'al is actually trying to cover his back, doesn't see where the angle is exactly, but doesn't bother to reposition as well. Not sure what happened there, but RQ can't be letting rounds like that go.
No, I 100% agree. This is something that has been a bit of an issue with Duke in the past. It seems like sometimes he's so busy trying to look what's in front of him that he gets himself out of position, which is very, very awkward. At the moment, though, Cypher going in for a bit of a skirmish there with Abe, who did try to go for a very, very wide flank. Oh, blue wall by Cypher. If he did not deploy that, I think he would have been taken out. He's going to try and back on out. It's created some distance.
Wow.
At least Cypher's going to live for a little bit longer, but oh, that could have gone really bad.
What a 180 coming in from Cypher. Icon ends up getting cut off as Barros makes sure that the stairs is covered. Now Cypher's coming up to walk up onto Abe, and the formation is already broken as even Ma'al can't do much. Double revolvers akimbo with Cypher and Barros to close out that round. Man, Cypher is running circles around RRQ. That is crazy.
Yeah, Cypher is incredibly fun to watch as a player, because if you watch his perspective, he's just in there. He's in there, he's doing the work, he's doing the damage. Yes, he's got teammates also providing that support, but man, AG, sometimes they don't even need Dude. Dude's like the insurance policy that they invest their life savings into, but they still go into life at full throttle because, you know, you only got one life, so you gotta do the best that you can with it. We're on Mammoth, however, though, so this is where things can get a little bit dicey for either side. As man, some of these snipes coming up do quite a bit of damage there to AG. But now the teams are finally meeting on the Mammoth Bones.
Yeah, they're trying to hold it off. Once again, gotta deny that information. More so, make sure that they can't move past a certain boundary. You can see that Dude is actually going for a super long flank as he runs the edge of the map with the UAV. This is actually huge for him. If he can walk up upon Ma'al, if he hears his footsteps, he needs to turn around now because he is right sniffing his feet at this point. Look at how close he is.
Oh, they're right there. And I think Ma'al, he's starting to sniff it. He's like, guys, I'm all alone. And Dude is here. He's going to try and reposition, and it's got a teammate back there. Meanwhile, everyone else is going to keep fighting. Cypher is down. I repeat, Cypher is down. And Barros is as well. Although, what's happened to the back? Ma'al, he did finally get caught, though. This is going to leave RRQ, but the rest of Ross and Dude's been caught. Abe saving the game, however, for RRQ, and this leaves Team SR as the last remaining standing player on the side of AG Global against 3 players on the side of RRQ. Woo, things are getting a little bit sweaty there, but RRQ, great recovery, picking up those eliminations.
Yeah, really, really scary position. Unfortunately, when playing from low to high, it's just so much harder to actually pull the rug from underneath your opponent's. Abe, he sees him, there we go. Takes him out at the very end. There was a moment there for certain that we were all wondering, is Abe about to lose his head there and then? But look at how this round actually progresses. A really good call coming in from Aikal to say, hey, yo, Abe, our backs are already compromised. Just push them. You got the Valiant Dash. Just go for it. Break through those glue walls. I got your back as well. If you can hand me the kills, I will chase down everybody else after.
Yeah. I think you really have to play into that if you're up against AG, because if you try to play that game of shooting from a distance, the sniping game is actually in favor of AG. So if you're RRQ, get in their face. Get right in there and dish out the damage. And AG going for a 3-to-1 split as the rest of the team going to be rushing into Abe, who throws that glue wall up to cause a little bit of distraction there. Cypher trying to find his target, but can't quite find anybody on the other side. Team SR isolated, but Tooth, first player to go down on the side of RRQ. But Cypher, next one to follow thanks to Ikal. That's a huge pick there. And that's gone for Team SR. Cypher to bullet Abe, and the R has been caught though, and doesn't really matter. Oh, the cleanup. The cleanup is there. Oh. It looks like AG. That was very, very close. It was just a fraction of a second that decided the overall result of the match.
Abe went to try and finish off the kill. Team SR pops up from underneath the ruins and blows him out of the water. That's got to be so frustrating for RRQ losing in that particular fashion. AG, they're doing a lot of good things here, but the information that they get, they instantly look to attack on the opposite side. Don't get me wrong, RRQ had a correct response to it. Unfortunately, they just don't have enough weaponry because of how many cyber drops that have been already secured by AG Global at this point. They're walking in with upgraded guns every single time, Trogons if necessary. And now RQ with a little bit more investment this time around. Trogon's in Ikal's hand. Oh, he's already getting blasted by Cypher. Gets secured as well as Team SR trying to hold the rest of RRQ at bay. They know they can't go from under, so they have to go from over. Good map knowledge here is Team SR with the Trogon in hand, trying to keep them down with suppressing of fire. Cypher turns the corner, and that's when they all collapse. AG, they're moving around like ants. You don't know whether it's coordinated or not, but they're just working too well in tandem with each other.
And we're at match point as well here for AG Global, so all it takes is one more win for them to take the set. And look at RRQ. No cyber airdrops in sight. It's all in the pockets of AG Global. So AG, they are rich. They are working with so much economy this round. It's not funny. And RRQ, I mean, there are moments of brilliance for this team, but at the same time, I feel like those moments are happening because AG are also throwing a couple of missteps here and there. RRQ need to pull off a perfect fight on this map if they want to keep their names alive, if they want to keep that round going. Otherwise, we're going straight to game number 2. Oh man, Team SR. He knows someone's there. He's just trying to figure out if he wants to try and press the issue. Because AG, they know they are in no rush to push into this. It's actually RRQ that are the ones that are so desperate to try and keep their dream alive.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look at this, so great. Opening round, right at the beginning of the round, hey, we move out, 5 seconds later, instantly clue. Then we follow it up with a UAV to confirm the positions here as they try to run on through. It's too late. What was that? He didn't even bother to try and utilize his quota to get more information. He thought it was secure for sure. The fake was sold by RRQ. They held their ground and they held it strong. And now with 2 anchors in the back, they know that Barros and Duo are going to be working together in one side, but do they know about Team SR with no surveillance utility whatsoever, not even a UAV to throw at this point? They hold the western side of this map as they slowly encroach on the inside. Blue has already been popped, but it's too late. Abe takes him, Team SR with Micro Uzi. And now it is a 4v2. No weapons want to be lost from the side of RRQ. They want to keep it as clean as possible. As Du holding a high ground, knowing where Maal is, leaving the mannequin on the top side as he goes for a wide peek. He tries to change it, but he doesn't land on the ground in time because he can't use it midair.
Oh no, I think this is where AG may have just simply lost the round based off of one movement. Losing Cypher there was crucial for RRQ to get a foothold of that match. Ikal with the surprise. single-handedly keeping the dream alive here for RRQ. And after that, right, it's just really awkward positioning here for Ju and Barros. They really were limited in terms of where they could be, what they could do. And so, trying to make that very weird play on the crates happen, I think that was a necessary evil. It's just, in this case, it just did not work out. And now we're back onto Santa Catarina. And RQ, they are still fighting, they are still climbing. They've got to push for 3 more games if they want to win the set, but at least 2 if they want to equalize 5 apiece and push for a match point for both sides. But this map is one of the last maps you want to play if you are at a disadvantage. Cypher, very, very low, will be able to heal on up. And now they're trying to find their next victim. But RQ, you can tell they're very, very hesitant to go inside. But Team SR has been caught out very, very low. And no one is there to actually provide support. And that's going to be it. Abe finishing off Team SR, pushing the team at a disadvantage. Oh, but Dudes have been caught by Barros, and now both teams sitting at 3 players apiece. Cypher going to be able to back out through that doorway, but Barros has been caught by Ma'al, the sniper, the star player on RRQ, really pushing through. And all of a sudden, it's now Cypher and Du standing for AG, whereas for RRQ, they still have Abe, Ikal, and Ma'al. That circle's getting smaller, but Du's been Ma'al, the sniper, catching out his arch nemesis, and RRQ pushing it to 4-5.
Ooh, and you can see it on Du's face. He was like, no! How could I possibly? I was already up 2-0. Now it's 2-1 in terms of how many times they battled against each other. But man, what an interesting play here on Santa Catarina. Again, climbing up the early mass for Dudson as well as Aikal was a smart option to try and get as many resources as possible. But Ma'al with a game-changing headshot there. That's why these teams are so similar. 4-5 still with 3 cyber drops already secured for the side of AG. The maximum amount of econ that can actually happen. And look at the amount of damage that they've already applied. Trying to hold on to the spine. Cypher, he needs to start denying space. And Aikal, he throws a far glue wall, but cannot follow it up with his body. Cypher, he's going to be lobbing another nade in, trying to see how much damage he can apply with the rest of his team in the back. They've already popped the clue as well as the Coda. Honestly, roughly one slightly slower than the other. But no! 5 top base head! And now he's going to be looking for a little bit more. He wants to secure it, and he finds the secure with the help of the BSKAG. Now on the aggressive.
Oh, that you are not safe if you are on the ground. And now without Abe, RRQ are working with very limited options here. They do have Ma'al on that low ground, but he's all alone. So if he gets caught out, he's not going to have anyone to pick him up. Duds and Ikal, they have a mountain to push upon this spine themselves. It looks like both teams, they might even wait for this circle to close on in before they make their next move. As Cypher trying to get any kind of angle, he's trying to see if he can maybe clip somebody's head. But he can't quite get it, so now it's going to be a very, very slow push here, Gideon. Both teams realizing what could potentially happen if they make the wrong move during this round.
Oh, and AG is already one step ahead. Yes, dude. He's already found Ma'al and bringing the score to 3-1 so far as he controls the space that they try to push up. AG were just better prepared to get on the ribcage early on to get that extra little bit of height that made all the difference.
Dude, getting that catch onto Abe was huge. If Abe was still there, they would still have the firepower to be able to push up that spine, but to lose a player and to also know that Du is sniping from that cliffside, it was such a difficult decision for RRQ to make as to what they were supposed to do. If they were going to wait for the circle to continue closing on in, or if they just make that really dangerous gamble and push on up. I have to say, I am actually very impressed with how RRQ played that round. Yes, they did not win. They did drop that first game to AG Global, but I am starting to see some significant improvement from this roster, and it's making me hopeful that we will be getting a third game in this set.
I totally agree here. I really think that the people who need to step up right now is Dudson as well as Aikal, right? Because Abe and as well as Ma'al are putting in hella work. On the opposite side, AG, well done. Really great game from every single member. And I think that even Barros was putting a good amount of work too, making sure that he can support the rest of his team with information. I mean, it's an untraditional composition to see, but they made it work because it checks all the boxes for AG of what they need to make sound decisions, and I think that's the real difference.
Yeah. I think we're also witnessing why AG is the pinnacle of Clash Squad in Southeast Asia at the moment. This team, I think we did see a couple of mistakes. Like there were definitely some plays where you were kind of questioning, you know, like what kind of happened. But there were rounds where you could tell they were on their game. I think it's almost impossible to beat this team if everything goes according to plan. But that's the kind of issue that we're starting to see with AG, right? Like they're a great team, very, very sharp, but if you do find that weakness, they're not immortal, right? They are definitely living beings. You can slay the gods, but dude, man, this guy, I think he's going to single-handedly get Santino banned for round number 2 because you cannot give this guy Santino. It's just too good of a pick. You have too much utility, too much mobility. I feel like this is the perfect hybrid sniper where you have a way to get into an offensive position and also defensively protect yourself if things go awry.
It's so flexible, and when he can call audibles for the rest of his team, you definitely know that he's going to start pushing limits here. Oh, we don't have Clue and Coda active ready to go, but don't worry, I'll just check it physically. I will use my own 2 eyes to get there, and if I need to get out, I hope I'm not in the middle of my jump animation. That's the best that he can hope for. 4-6, the scoreline for this map, and I think when we're looking at the damage numbers, right, everybody from the side of AG is putting up some decent numbers. Even Team SR, who's been finding these like really appropriate flanks, which is why he has so many assists despite having so little damage.
It just goes to show how in sync this team is, I feel. Like the synergy, the shot calls, the targeting. I think the targeting is probably the biggest thing with the team. You could definitely tell who they were targeting at any one point. They never really had too many fights where it seemed like the team was sort of frantically trying to pick anybody off. It was all very calculated, it was all decided, right? Like somebody made the call, like we need to focus this player down. So yeah, AG Global, all gamers global, looking very scary in a game number 1. Yes, okay, the scoreline was 4-6, but we have to remember their opponent is also RRQ Kazu, one of the best teams in the entire world, hailing from the Indonesian region. We've got to give them the respect where it's due as well, because this team, I had my reservations for them coming into Clash Squad because they definitely struggled in the Asia scene. They've improved tenfold since then. So I hope they learned something in that first game, because it's now time to apply everything that they have learned in game number 1 into game number 2. Because if they can't successfully win game number 2, we're getting a 2-0 set. I know all of us want to see a full 3 games. So if you are an RRQ fan, please let them know in the chat. Send them your support. They're going to need this energy, especially if they're going to beat AG.
Gotta send them that energy, because right now, at least from the coach's POV, they have to start thinking about strategies, right? Okay, maybe the draft was a bigger issue here. Maybe we weren't able to enable dudes to get into these types of positions to actually contribute, especially from those early rounds. The pistols are the scary thing, but man, I don't know. Between the two teams, I hope they've interacted with each other, and it looks like we have exactly what you guys were looking for. An interview between AG as well as RRQ. What could they have said? Could it be interesting? We don't know. We're throwing it over right now.
Kalau buat tim RRQ atau tim gue sendiri, kalau dilihat dari story sih nggak kuat-kuat banget lah, tapi ya kita berusaha kita juara. เก่งครับเพราะว่าซ้อมที่4ทุกคืนครับตั้งแต่เที่ยงคืนถึง6 โมงเช้า Mungkin pendapatku kalau soal tim Egy ICS ya hampir mirip lah sama kayak RRQ tadi. Agak nahan bisa juga, agresif juga bisa. อยากยิงหัวเมาครับเพราะว่าจะอยากรู้ว่าตัวไหนเขาแม่นจริงหรือเปล่า Buat Bel, lihat aja ntar lu nggak bakal gue kasih main di CS mode. Di tim Egy itu sebenarnya ada satu orang menurutku tuh lemah di CS. Siapa ya? Antara Baros dan Baros. ก็ทั้งทีมนะครับก็สู้ๆนะครับวันที่เจอผมก็อย่าประมาทนะครับ Buat Saifa hati-hati aja kalau lu keras kepala lu atau hilang dah.
Oh, the threats! I can feel it from here. I'm a bit scared now.
Oh man, especially when you have these types of players, best known for their individual skill, known to have signature weapons as well. Some might even consider naming those weapons after them if they keep on winning and maintaining that streak. But from the way that it looks so far, I think that Maal, a little frustrated. He hasn't gotten too many honest 1v1s against Sypha, against Do, as much as he would like to. Sometimes Sypha suddenly appears with Team SR showing up at the worst possible times. Other times it could be Baros alongside with Do. So generally speaking, it feels like AG has a really good idea of how to actually approach the situation because of their flexibility offensively alongside being hyper defensive when necessary. But now we move on to Nextera.
On Nextera, I kind of have my reservations. Unfortunately, well, I think we got to bring it up, right? Kalahari is one of RRQ's signature maps, one of their specials. So to drop that map against AG, I'm scared. But again, I said this before. I hope they learnt some very important lessons. I hope they picked up on AG's playstyle and they're able to successfully apply their own personal counter to AG on Nextera. But it's also Nextera, so it's not going to be an easy map at all. I think I'm still leaning towards AG, unfortunately, for this map, just because AG, we've seen them be able to really navigate these very claustrophobic areas. I don't know what it is. This team is just very good at juking and picking their entry points and their disengage as well. Whereas for RRQ seems to do much better in those very open maps, right? More open space, they have a lot more clear line of sight. And also, most importantly for Maal, if he can see anybody is running at him, because he wants to focus on popping heads. He doesn't want to focus on watching his backside, because if he's watching his back, he's not getting headshots. He's not getting those E-lips. So I hope RRQ have a plan, but this is not going to be an easy game by any means, even though they looked pretty good on Kalahari.
But that's the thing, right? I think that it's really difficult for RRQ to contain AG Global because of how fluid they are, really. And they don't even know what openers that All Gamers Global go for. Clue ban? Alright.
Wow.
So they get rid of the clue. Does that mean that RRQ is like, you know what? Sure, let's get rid of the Coda and open everything up. We are on second pick, to be fair.
If you get rid of Coda, then it's all the meta vision heroes basically gone, leaving you with all of the other options. The Santino. Look, respect. I think you had to get rid of the Santino. Do is just too good.
So obnoxious to deal with, but now the Coda gets instantly locked in for the side of All Gamers Global. Now RRQ Kazu, what are they going to do? Because now the drafting order is a little awkward for them. If they want to go for Oscar, but the Cassian Zane is still available, but does that fit their style? So far, Abe has done phenomenally on Oscar, right? He was, again, the highest amount of eliminations for his team in map number 1. Coming into map number 2, I think they should really lean into that, right? Play around Abe, let Maal kind of do his own thing. If you have enough threat in your front line, nobody is going to see Maal pick off a couple of members in the back.
Wow, okay, so new opening here for RRQ Kazu. We've got Oscar and Ignis. I swear, AG, they are purposefully taking all of Maal's favorite choices, leaving him with basically whatever's left. Because in the past, Maal has played Clue. I feel like he's also played Dakota. Iris has been one of Maal's signature picks. I don't know what's left for this man to play.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what he's going to have left, right? Because it feels like RRQ Kazu don't want to have the traditional supports. Do they not want to take up a Zane or maybe even a Cassie? No. They're going to go into Nero. All right, let's see whether Maal is going to be the one playing this, right? Because now with Santino kind of out of the way, whoever kind of shows up against this Nero, he can deny glue walls, sure, but ideally you want to affect multiple people rather than just one. I would imagine that it would be better for Maal to actually play the A124 where he has line of sight, and then finally the Cassie gets picked up at the very end here. Alright, are there going to be any shifts before they go into the game? At least there's some shifting from AG Global, but I don't see any movement from RRQ Kazu.
Wow, so we're going to be seeing Ma'al potentially pilot the Nero. I'm kind of keen. I'm kind of keen to see how he's going to be able to pull this off. AG are finalizing their choices, and it looks like Cypher. I thought Cypher was going to be maybe on that Chrono, but they're going to shift him onto the Coda instead. I think they were considering, like, okay, do we maybe want to, put Do on the Coda instead? But look, Iris just makes more sense here, right? Like, okay, yeah, Cypher's great. I think I'd love to see him play the Iris as well, but Coda just makes a lot more sense in this situation.
Oh, for sure.
At the end of the day, though, just looking at the drafts, like, AG just looks much more balanced compared to RRQ Kazu. Kazu's lineup is definitely on the wonky side. I'm all for seeing Ma'al play this Nero, but to be fair, I wonder if AG also know how Ma'al plays that Nero, because this could be a bit of a surprise for them too. I wonder if Ma'al's even revealed this before.
I don't think he's revealed it before, even in BR. I think that right now, for RQ Kazu, at the very least, they're very offensive-sided, right? We close the distance, we break their glue walls. If we just combo our abilities, there's literally nothing that you can do. So I think the big linchpin here is whether or not the A124 actually lands in the first place, because all the follow-up that happens afterwards is kind of a hit or a miss. There's natural combos with A124 alongside with Nero, and Oscar alongside with Nero. Even Ignis has a little bit of value, not instantaneous, but enough to disrupt opponents by blocking line of sight, on top of the extra dot damage that he provides, not only to glue walls that, again, he has increased damage towards, but to the players as well for the early pistol rounds. I think that All Gamers Global, the most important thing is when they actually pop Coda's ability. Because if they pop it too late when RRQ Kazu is in their face, they get zero value. If they do it just to get a rough idea of where RRQ Kazu is going to be, there's a good chance that RRQ Kazu might pivot which direction they're going to take the confrontation.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of factors that we have to consider. But I think at the end of the day, we just got to leave it to the players. I have a lot of expectations. I am thinking. Originally, I thought we were going to go to a game 3, but just seeing the draft already, AG are rock solid. I feel like they won the draft altogether, especially with the drafting order. Whereas for RRQ, they're kind of coming out of it thinking like, what the heck? But what do we draft for Ma'al? Because they always leave Ma'al for last pick, or they generally always leave him for last pick because they want to avoid Ma'al being counted. And because of that predictability, it's kind of made them a bit easy to read, which is how AG was able to just really get around them in that drafting phase. I mean, look, for all we know, this debut of Ma'al Nero on the world stage, maybe it triggers something. Maybe this is the beginning of our new meta, where we start seeing Team Snipers pick up Nero as a SS tier pick.
I think that this is a declaration of war to AG Global, right? It's like, all right, you don't want to be honest with our 1v1s in the sniping battle. I'll tell you what, I'm going to join the rest of our team. We're going to turn it into an honest 4v4. The most honest we can possibly. We're going to force you to come down to our level somehow. And I think the decisions that are going to be made by AG is going to be a lot more difficult, because not only do you have to be reactive, but it feels like RRQ have natural ways to try and outplay the Coda, or at the very least fake the information being sent over when they take those first initial contacts. But it all starts from the pistol, right? They've got Ignis on their side. Technically, they should have an advantage coming into the very first round. We'll see whether they start to take the early lead. Maybe I'm hoping that they can take a 3-round lead, in a matter of fact, against the AG to turn this into a real contest.
Yeah, I'd love to see a 3-round win. But let's try and get past this first round first. Can RRQ start building up their little kingdom here? Because at the moment they just have a little village. They really need to build up the walls around this to really call it a kingdom. But look at that though, already heavy push coming in from RRQ. So I do like this. I love the fact that the team is grouping up. And to be honest, I kind of like seeing Ma'al actually play a little bit closer to his team, right? Because the fact that he's playing Nero, he can provide a lot of support. The jump down there coming up from Team SR. He's going to try and use the scythe to get the pick up there. Abai, their first player to go down, and Team SR, next player to drop still on the ground, will finally go down. Varus, they're catching out Ma'al. Oh no, there goes the Nero. They still have such an E-Cal though. They might be able to turn things around, but do it. He tried to play with the scythe, but the distance too far away from Cypher. and AG swiping away that pistol round.
And that's the Cassie diff, right? Again, in these pistol rounds, Cassie can be so useful. You can eat so many shots unless you take it from a big, a pistol with a scope on it. I think generally speaking, I think that RRQ had the right idea, but unfortunately, they have no way to verify their information. They threw the firewall in the center, which is a very normal opening play on the pistol rounds, or just in general for that terrain. Didn't find anything. They took the first number of shots, and worse yet, they traded 1 for 1 in a position where they lost Abe. And again, from the side of AG, they didn't lose too much. Oh, you've taken down SR. That's not a big deal. We've got Barros running in from the back. We've got Du already locking his sights on you as well.
Oh, take a look at the map though. We see a huge flank. They're trying to chase down Ma'al, but he will have support here with Dutz. So it's going to be a 2v2, but Ma'al already taking some pretty big damage there. He's going to have to recover some of that health before he feels comfy trying to go back and load his gun. Now all of a sudden we are going to be seeing the flame wall deployed. RRQ pushing forward with Abe Ikal as well to the side though. Ma'al is under fire. Cypher trying to break on through, but Dutz is making that a very difficult task. But Abe finally going to go down. Virus is going to be the next one to follow suit. So we're now down to a 3 versus 3, unless a pickup is possible. But Cypher finally catches the sniper. You're not getting away, he says. And AG lock in round number 2.
AG is just 2 shots. Headshot. Up in there. Right? RRQ, they got to start pulling it together. They can't be dropping rounds in those fashions without some clinical trades against AG, because the flow is just not there.
Yeah, we are going to have a bit of a pause here, ladies and gentlemen, so please be patient as we sort out whatever issue is currently plaguing our players. But I think we're going to talk about this now. AG have started to basically swipe away the leads that were supposed to be due for RRQ, right? We needed RRQ to build up some kind of snowball, some kind of lead to give them an edge over AG, especially with their very wonky lineup. I think now, just after seeing those 2 rounds, right, I think I am starting to get a little bit of a better idea as to what they're trying to pull off. And there's one big con that I'm currently seeing, and it is the fact that this team is so high risk. If you pop off your active at the wrong time, you're a sitting duck. You do not have a classic lineup. You do not have that classic support. You are relying on your active either setting up for you to get that elimination or setting up to put your enemies in a disadvantageous position, which is not currently happening. To be fair, at the same time, we are still within the early days of the round. Players don't quite have their full set of gear yet, so I think maybe things could change a little bit for RRQ if they can deck themselves out with a little bit of a better loadout, which we will see later on. I do question how much emphasis they're going to put on those cyber airdrop rounds. Are they willing to throw bodies to lock in the cyber airdrop?
Oof. I think if it's between deciding for a cyber airdrop and winning the round, I think winning the round takes priority, especially since they need a little bit of buffer to get to the point where they can start buying time turners for themselves. And I think that's where things are going to start changing for them. As much as AG Global will be able to get access to time turners of their own, they are naturally winning these games anyways, right? Their economy is always going to be pretty healthy as a whole. I think for RRQ, the only thing that needs to be adjusted right now, yes, there is a huge lack of information. They don't know what openers AG Global are doing. Again, in round number 2, we're already seeing instead of going for the traditional 1-2-1, they decided to go for a 2-2 split, and that's something that they weren't expecting, because if they were expecting that, they would have looked to intercept the supply lines, stop the reinforcements from covering crucial key points of the map, right? And RRQ, if they can figure out, and more importantly, I think they need to take one step back to see where Cypher is going to go, because he's consistently in these past couple of rounds have been looking for those flanks. If he can get a reaction out of them while all 4 members of RRQ can pounce, that's when they will find their advantages.
Yeah, and I think the ultimate issue with the lineup so far is just stemming from this lack of reliable vision for RRQ. Because they don't have that reliable way of finding out what the formation is for AG. Like, they don't know if they're going to be hit with the 2-2. They don't know if it's going to be a 1-2-1. They don't even know if it's going to be a 4-man push. And unfortunately, the only source of vision that they have, their reliable source of vision, it's on Ma'al. And we already saw it in round 2. Ma'al, he's already trying to split from his team. He does not want to play with his lineup at all. He's trying to play as that classic sniper at a distance from the other side of the map, which, if you're doing that and you're playing Nero, you don't really get to benefit from Nero's active. So as we get ready for this map, folks, we do have a question for all of you. Are you smarter than a 5th grader? Actually, I don't even know if a 5th grader knows this, but the question is, which loadout is better in Clash Squad? The Team Booster or the Enhanced Hammer? Let us know in the comments. Is it A or is it B? Is it healing or is it damage? Is it utility or is it damage?
It's a combination. Obviously, because you have like 4 members, you can have like a different combination of whether it's the Enhanced Hammer or Team Boosters. But in general, ooh, this is a tough one. I want to say Enhanced Hammer so badly, especially for Clash Squad. Like, it makes so much sense to me, but you really need a team of shooters, like people who just do not miss. If not, I feel like Team Booster is just so reliable.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Team Boosters are a bit of a no-brainer. If you're still only getting into Clash Squad, Team Booster. If you can't aim, Team Booster. There's just too much utility that you can get out of the Team Booster. I mean, I love the hammer. Okay, we love the hammer. We can look at it. I think that's all we can do at the moment. But if you do get a superstar on the team, give them the hammer. Let them bonk. Let them bonk for free. Looks like we are ready to jump back into the match, folks. So thank you all for being so incredibly patient. Round number 3 is good to go. AG, though, is currently leading with a score of 2-0 against RRQ Kazu. RRQ, they are in, I want to say, a desperate situation because, yes, that's only 2 games, but they have struggled to play against AG for some of these rounds. They need something to go their way, and you can see, look at this. They want that cyber airdrop. They're going for a full commitment, but look at the rotation from AG.
They're looking for the big wraparound in the UAV. It was thrown a little bit far and only spots 2 members here as Cypher turns the corner, wins it out with the help of his buddy in the back, and now making sure that they've already punished all that they could punish, noticing the 2 backliners could not cover the distance in time. AG Global, this is the Team Booster dip. This is that extra movement speed that everybody knows and loves. If you're hitting your shots, you just need to be in the right place at the right time. And AG Global, check all those boxes.
What a terrible round here for RRQ. Like, this was a double loss because not only did they not get the cyber airdrop, it went into AG's pockets, but they lost the round as well. That's a double whammy for a team that is essentially just being kicked down over and over again. And this is round number 3. We're going into round number 4 very soon, and you know, we can still potentially see signs of life here for RRQ, but just based off of those initial preliminary 3 rounds, it is just not looking good.
But we have to go to the Grab Labs, right? Unfortunately, this is going to be a free bonus round for AG. Bit of an investment actually coming in from Mom. I'm surprised that he actually decided to go for it. It looks like they decided to really commit to this, really invest. FFWS as well. MP5 coming in from Dudes, but Mal already losing his head, unfortunately. With the help of the smoke at the very least, AG breaking the... Oh, wait, good use of the wall of fire here. Abe, he's going to take a little bit of burning, guys. He's already out in the blue, but he's locked out. Can't seem to get back in, as Do is able to just cover the entrance. Choke holding, putting our RQ into submission.
I feel like this might just be a bit of a repeat for round number 1, but maybe even worse. 4 points now locked into the pockets of AG. RRQ just can't find a solution for this powerhouse of a team. I wish we could just mention what the problem is, but I just feel like everything seems to be the issue. The positioning, the mechanical skill coming out from AG just being, I feel like, a step or 2 above RRQ. The team is going to completely grip up as a team. A 4-man push here. Ma'al though, right? Oh, that was so so close. Maal is still there though, so he could still be hunted. The rest of the team they're pushing, but Team SR deleting Ika on the spot, and Maal has been caught as well. And we are about to get 5 points locked in for AG Global as Abe, the last man standing, being hunted by AG. And any moment now, it's going to be those 5 points, match point for AG. And for RRQ, not a single point on the board.
AG, just complete domination here. I'm surprised that the nades are coming in from Barros. Like, he is just nailing these lobs. He's got some good lineups working out for him, especially when you're looking to contest for the cyber airdrops. That's 2 rounds in a row that he's able to make something happen with a single piece of ordnance. I was expecting Dutz to be that guy. If not blowing up the enemy team, at least blowing himself up, because that's what happens in BR almost all the time. But even so, we come back into the gym this time. Let's see whether or not he finds that piece of ordnance, because Dutzy's got it in hand, and immediately Team SR is the one who finds the initial pick. Disgusting shots here in a map that, again, both sides very even, very neutral. Now they're going to hold on. Aikal, he's taking so much damage here from both sides. Even Maal losing just a little bit, quite a decent amount of life, and finally they find it. At least for Maal, he gets Sypha down in trade. Aikal still on his knees, needs a little bit of help here as Du's looking and slowly working out on that angle. He notices Abe, waiting for him to jump. He knows there's a piece of glass there, luckily. Gets him on the first initial one, but Aikal takes out Barros. Now a 2v4, RQ's best opportunity to steal a round might be here, but Team SR, he pulls one through, he gets it, and Du finds another headshot on towards Abe's side. They've turned it into a 2v3, no time turner, no resources, they're running out of time. As AG will have to hold out that plushie is frustrating for Du, but Maal making sure that he can land these shots. Good timing with the glue walls. He looks to the opposite side. He gets beamed. Takes out the AWM. He should have had that right at the very beginning, but now he has to reload his gun. You see that Maal, at least for the side of Dutz, they have to work hand in hand here. AG keeping it separate, keeping it clean, popping in and out. Whack-a-mole has to control this top area. And now Du drops down the smoke. Interesting play as Team SR finally gets beamed down. They're not giving line of sight over to Du. They're trying to make sure that he can't get it. Maal finally gets it at the end. Finally, RRQ take 1 round back.
Oh, my heart. I feel like it stopped at some point, but jeez, that round. That could have gone sideways if RRQ decided to fall for AG's bait. I have to say, AG, they tried to play this really smart. I think a lot of other teams would have fallen for the bait. What they tried to do, they played on the low ground, and they were using Team SR to force somebody on RRQ to follow him down so that they would be able to snipe them off with Du. But the fact that they stayed on the high ground, they stuck together as a team, and they got the pickoffs, the snipes from up there, they were able to safely grab those eliminations and ensure not to feed too many resources away to AG. So RRQ showing signs of life, but they still need so many games to make these comebacks happen. And Team SR all on its own, right next to 2 players. And oh my gosh, bit of a trade. Ikal and Team SR on the ground. Ikal does get finished off though thanks to Du. And Team SR should be able to be picked up any moment here, but RQ, they've lost Abe. Okay, we are back into dire straits for this team. This is not how you want the round to start, especially when you're just starting to show signs of life. And Maal's been caught by Cypher. Oh no!
It couldn't have gotten any worse for RRQ. Maal already did. Abe the next to fall. And I mean, they had a really great opener. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. Deny the space, use the Valley Dash to break through it. Now they're going for the game-winning play here. Once again, Sypha and Du putting a hell lot of work, but we got to see so much from Barros in these rounds. Huge pieces of ordnance, raining hellfire on their opponents. The contest for Cypher airdrops. A 2-0 victory in dominating fashion from AG Global.
We may have just witnessed our second top dog in the entire bracket for Clash Squad. Fluxo, game number 1. I think obviously a very, very strong team coming into Clash Squad, and their arch nemesis might just be AG, especially with how clean they played those rounds, the coordination. This team is on another level, and I am so excited to see this possibly be the matchup, AG versus Fluxo.